MC's character sheet. Hector Bellucci de Carvalho, codename Eidolon, also known as Dis, in the BNHA/MHA world, the mutant menace, the Big Three, together with Thor and the Hulk, the strongest hero, the greatest Eidolon. Age, 16, mental age still 16, nationality, half/American and half/Brazilian. History, originally an ordinary young man. In the year 2022, he wakes up in the body of an alternate version of himself, only in the Marvel Universe. Same name, same age, same parents, almost the same story. On his bedside he finds the essence of Gacha, and his story begins. Personality, Hector is cautious, quiet and calm. Originally, before transmigrating, he was a normal weeb/nerd from the year 2022, who played games with his friends. But in the world of Marvel, due to moving to New York a year earlier and losing contact with his friends, the year is 2004, Hector has become much more shy and introverted, becoming the loner type of nerd. Now assimilating the characters, he is gaining parts of the personalities and traits, being more confident, charming, sociable. Appearance, initially the skinny nerd. With the assimilation of the characters, he became tall, handsome, and muscular. Trivia, Hector recently found out he is an ass man. Although he thinks edgy characters are cool, he always admires guys who are truly good like Superman, Tanjiro, All Might. He is a bit chuyunibia, enjoying reenacting character lines and making references. If you ask him, he will deny it. He is eclectic with music, food, and entertainment genre. Hector likes to absorb good things from people, learning from them. He did this even before the Gacha, but he usually applied to fictional characters, foreshadowing his future ability of assimilation. Powers and abilities, the essence of the Gacha, go see the separate chapter about this. Power manipulation, Hector mainly is an Omega-level mutant/meta that can manipulate, copy, or steal other people's powers. The powers need to be something not innate from someone's physiology, like the capability of Atlanteans to breathe underwater. He is also can, with effort, modify and twerk the powers that he acquired a little, suppressing weakness, changing the R where the power manifest or turning it on/off. Hundreds of other stole/copied powers. Hector has acquired many powers. Basically all good powers on the BNHA/MHA world and some good powers on the world of Marvel too. Main powers, telepathy, telekinesis, flight, energy projection, self-duplication, many elementals manipulation. Different physiologies. Hector, thanks to the Gacha, has a body encompassing many types of physiologies, like ghost, cyborg, and others. Superhuman strength, superhuman speed, superhuman durability, superhuman agility, superhuman reflexes, superhuman stamina, superhuman senses, longevity/immortality, self-sustenance, magic. 1/4 Gacha points, 8 general Gacha in setting Gacha, Marvel, Mang/anime/novel, Japanese, Gacha mode 2/4 Hector Bellucci de Carvalho race, metahuman character assimilation fully assimilated, Funny Valentine, Batman, Miles Morales, Yagami Light, Jason Progress, Charlotte Katakuri 92%, Starkiller Dash 80%, Loki 12% characters summoned, Flurkin, Cthulhu, powers, source of all living matter, Minecraft inventory, Miss Militia power shard, power manipulation * various other stolen/copied powers, one for all, overhaul, rewind, new order, decay, perks, custom visual powers, imbue card mechanic a keep items, none inventory, Minecraft, Chakra books, EDI biomech suit v2.0, Starkiller Sith armor, Lightsaber X04, neutralizer gun, 13mm auto anti-freak combat pistol, Jackal, Helsing, sword of actuation, Berserk, Hextech hammer. Others, 3/4 non-used cards, characters Shago, Kim Possible, Huntress, Helena Bertinelli, DC Comics, Tokaido Muchiro, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Miyata Ichiro, Hajime no Ippo, Nagachika Hideyoshi, Tokyo Ghoul, Busujima Psycho, High School of the Dead, Isabella, Yakusako no Neverland, Gigantomachia, Boku no Hero Academia, Items Batch of Heart-Shaped Herb Zeta Flight Space Station, Earth 25271, Kaneki Mask, Tokyo Ghoul, Special Fire Force Field Uniform, Enin no Shaobutai, Duras Kitchen Knife, Toriko, Ika Ika Series, Naruto, Murasame, AKMGA Kill. Palantry, Lord of the Rings, M41A Pulse Rifle, Alien vs. Predator, Powers and Abilities Made in Heaven Stand, JJBASO, Demon Blood Art, Infinity Castle, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Consumables Shonen Setting Travel Ticket, Mid-tier/1 month, Background Customization Card X05 Movie Setting Travel Ticket, Weakness Removal Card X02 Frub Noel Co 4/4 CO Options, CO Points, 250 Simplified Marvel CO Super Power Store CYOA Essence of Gacha Essence of the Gacha. This is the essence which MC Power are based of. It has been modified a little by me. I will comment on the changes. The CYOA to which it belong is Essence Meta CYOA V2.1. If you want to search by consuming the essence of the Gacha, you gain several boons, ability to randomly get one item or person of importance in fiction per role. These manifest as cards and can be summoned out of them. Can't revert back into cards after buffed. I added the assimilation part. Having a weak MC depending on summons and items. Blurg, access to a list detailing every single card, with options to narrow down searches. Nerfed, lets the MC discover for himself. Some cards can increase the strength of a summoned item or person. However, Theses cards will be destroyed in the process. This increase is determined by the rarity of the card. Card rarity is determined by the strength and the importance of the being or item. Items summoned through the Gacha always work no matter what universe you are in, and can never be used against you in any way. These items are summonable and will appear by your side no matter what. These items are always in perfect condition, and will not degrade in any way. They can only be used by you, and by those who have direct permission from you. Items that require things such as energy sources or ammunition will have infinite amounts of them, however you can't siphon or use them for any other way. Very op, but no changes. People summoned through the Gacha are always loyal to you, no matter what their personality or alignment is, and can't negatively affect, hurt, or kill you in any way. If they are ever killed or injured, they will immediately be restored back to full health after battle and return to your side. They can't disobey orders that they don't like, so as long as these orders don't directly involve you in any way. The tricky one. Summons will never betray or hurt the MC, but they can refuse certain orders till the relationship bond be high. Like Astoria from Fate, can refuse to kill a baby. I nerfed the resurrection part too, but is possible to resurrect with a card gain though Gacha. The MC don't know yet. I know that is very ambiguous, the loyalty part, but I will work in the history. But let me say, using the example of Astoria being ordered to kill a baby, she would probably go in her hands and knees to beg the MC to don't do this. She will not fight the MC, but is important to the MC know what he can order his summons, and delegate the right tasks to the right people. And you guys would not think sheep the MC use a character to act like completely different of how this character is in canon? Without development, you have a bound relationship with people you summon and can check the level of a relationship anytime. Bond relationships start at 0, you are a stranger to them, and end with 10, they're completely in love with you and will do anything for you. Anyone summoned through the Gacha will have a relationship of 0. By spending time with them, you can quickly increase your relationship with them to a 10. No changes, you get 1 Gacha point per day. You can get more Gacha points by paying $1 USD, or equivalent, for 1 Gacha point, but no more than $100 USD, or equivalente, per month. No changes. The Gacha don't drain your money, but limit your rolls monthly, but rarely gives something useless too. You have 3 modes in the Gacha. The first mode gives you 2 options to spend your Gacha points. You can spend 3 Gacha points, which will always give you a 3-star cards or have the chance to get a 4 or higher star card, or you can spend 30 Gacha points, which will give you 10 cards, guaranteed to get at least 1 3 or higher star person and 1 4 or higher star cards. At the beginning, however, you're limited to getting 3 to 5 star cards, but this limitation will gradually disappear as you use the Gacha. No changes, I just don't categorize in tiers. The MC always gains something above his level. If he roll in groups of 10, the second mode allows you to get 10 cards for free once per day, however you are limited to 1 though 3-star cards. Never used, because the MC can choose between receiving 10 low-tier cards or a Gacha point. He choose Gacha point, because is better, and would be hard to keep track of everything if the MC gained too many things. The third Mode is an alternate of the first one, where you can gain items and people that exist in the universe you're in. However, you must pay 6 or 60 gacha points to summon the cards instead of the 3 or 30 you would normally pay in the first mode. You must face the same limitation as the first mode, and also can only get cards that exist in that universe. This mode can only work if the universe you are in has 4 or higher star cards that are based on the items and the people on it. No change. The Marvel Gacha. You can decide exactly how this essence manifests. He manifests like a computer screen, because is what he is more familiar. Chapter 1, Something Wrong I Can Feel It. Prologue, author note, that's my first ever fanfic. English is my third language. I have the idea some time ago and start writing. When becomes a little big I thought and share with anyone who wants to read. Any feedback is appreciated. Disclaimer, I own nothing. This history have no interest in offend any party. Having the sole objective of only entertain the readers. Enjoy. There is nothing permanent except change. Heraclitus. I woke up in my room with a feeling of strangeness that I couldn't get out of my head. Something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was. This is my room, I know it is. But there is something different, subtle differences that would make an OCD person scream out of discomfort. Or maybe scream because of the fact that maybe I am not in my room anymore. People normally scream in these situations, right? I look around, trying to localize the source of my discomfort. Did my parents take some of my things as a punishment? Bed? Same. Wall color? Same. Books/manga/comics? Different. Computer? Thick? What? They stole my PC gamer? What is this old thing doing in its place? Where once I had 3 24 Full HD LED monitors. Now it has only one very thick monitor, which looks like it came out of a public library. I look at the bed clock and know that it is 6:06 p.m. I had taken a nap because I had experienced some of the worst headaches of my life. Wait. I don't even have a bed clock. How did I know what to look for? And that it was there? Like it's a habit to look at it. I always look at the time on my smartphone. It seems that staying up 2 days in a row playing games on the internet is not good for you. Who could tell? Note to self, just because it's the summer vacation doesn't mean I can overdo it. Wait a minute. It's summer. Why is it so cold? And why is the sky already so dark? It's still 6 p.m. There is definitely something strange going on. Stay calm and think. My name is Hector Bellucci de Carvalho. Dual nationality. Brazilian father, USA mother. I currently live in Oh, wait. Or is it New York? I'm confused. Arg? A sharp pain goes through my head and everything makes more sense now. Oh, now I see. Now I get it. Now the pieces are falling into place. The room that is so similar and different at the same time. The strange climate. Things seem older. Putting on my glasses for nearsightedness and looking at the date on the clock I can see, it is January 21st, 2004, my birthday. I will be 16 today. And my parents are coming to pick me up and we are going to eat something I like at 7 p.m. So I slept in the afternoon, to have more energy. The day is the same, the month the same. Strange is the year, it should be 2022 and not 2004. I was transmigrated. I was transmigrated in myself. Self-insert in itself. But 18 years in the past, only I am the same age before I go to sleep. That is, in this world I was born 18 years earlier than in the previous world. I went from Gen Z to Boomer in a nap. But why? Why me? And what is this new world? It looks modern and similar to my old world, so I'm not in an isekai fantasy harem unfortunately. The action figures give a clue. There is a Darth Vader and others that I recognize, but there are others that I do not. Where there should be a 60 cm x 100 cm Superman All-Star poster, there is a Captain America one. And I have far fewer Legos than I used to. Hey, is that a half-finished Millennium Falcon? I didn't have that before. Neat. Wait. Focus. Maybe it's the similarities that are anchoring my sanity, but I'm not freaking out. But I need to know where I am. Try to remember, Hector. The history of this world, compared to my former world, developed similarly. A feeling of dread begins to spread through my body. I have a hunch where I am. My memories of this life are the answer. My life here is eerily similar to my old one. Except for where I am, I should live in Rio, not in New York and Queens. My location makes me feel that something is at stake here. It doesn't seem to be random. And everything is confirmed, as in all fanfics, there is a fucking Tony Stark in this world. And I know a Peter Parker too, by the way. This explains a lot. My parents are doctors, they met each other doing volunteer work in the Amazon. They are good people, with similar interests, similar professions. It is not strange that they married eventually. But when they got married, and I was about to be born, they decided to settle in Rio, helping less fortunate people, and still have a more stable job and far from being harassed by my mother's relatives. Only in this Marvel universe, a world of geniuses and better technological developments than the previous world, they had excellent job offers here in the Big Apple of the world, at the plot point, at the convergence of people of interest. And so I moved here last year with my parents that are working in one of my grandfather hospital, to start high school, where? Obviously Midtown High, where more people of interest converge. Destiny is messing with me. Let's go, focus in my situation. My mind, or soul, has been transferred to Marvel's multiverse, to an alternate version of myself, which is located in the place where everything can go wrong, but which has the greatest opportunities. My family, hobbies, names are the same. I can say that this is much better than being a drop-in and waking up in an alley with only the clothes on my back, or no clothes at all. Now I can address the elephant in the room, or rather the bottle in the room. That could only be my cheat. I think as a look to the strange bottle in the corner of my vision. I vaguely remember reading the Meta Essentio and finding the essence of Gacha cooler because it gave more variety, and would be more interesting if I were to write a fanfic. It would be a plot device, whatever I wanted the Gacha to give. But I would be the author, and I wouldn't start in Marvel right away. But now there is a transparent bottle with a multicolored liquid that seems to spin in a whirlpool, or roulette wheel, right there on my study desk. I sigh and stand up. I pick up the bottle and examine it. There is nothing written on it. No messages or notes from an ROB, just the bottle. But when I touch it I know it's for real, it's really happening. It's not a prank. I'm not starring in my own version of The Truman Show. I am in Marvel and I have the power of Gacha. Of winning anything in the Omniverse, of all fictions. My luck is not the best, but the essence of Gacha is not about draining your resources and destroy your dreams as in other gachas. The essence limits its monthly draws. But don't give away useless things like stones or handkerchiefs. All meta essences are up in their own way, gachas would be no different. I drink it in one gulp, without hesitation. It's the strangest thing that ever touched my mouth. I tried to swallow it without giving it time to taste, but it is impossible. It is hot, warm and cold, sweet, bitter, and hints of mint on the finish, as if to cover every possible taste and sensation, one at a time, leaving traces in your mouth. And the knowledge, the rules, and possibilities enter my head, at the same time as essence goes into my stomach. Or it should, but I feel as if it disappears in the middle of the path, merging with my whole body. It is my power now. I try to feel some change in my body, but nothing has changed, for now. Closing my eyes I try to reach for the essence. Apparently I can choose how it will manifest. A roulette wheel, balls in a bowl. I go with a screen showing the cards, which I am most familiar with. The essence of Gacha, which I will from now on just call Gacha, is unlike any other Gacha, which you can use whenever you want and draining your money. The rules can be simplified like this. It is possible to gain people, items, powers from all works of fiction. There are other consumables that increase powers, modify items' appearances, change character personalities. One-time use only. You earn 0.1 Gacha point per day. You need 0.3 Gacha per roll. You can buy a maximum of 100 Gacha points monthly, for 0.1 US dollar, or equivalent, per Gacha point. You can buy in groups of 10 rolls, spending 30 GP, and guaranteeing that at least one good card will come, above what you would earn. Or you can pay double, 60 GP for 10 rolls, for something specific to the world you are in. That's basically it. There are other buying modes, where you get cards for free, but their tier is low. So I would normally have 130 GP per month, varying in months with 28, 30, or 31 days, giving me 43 cards monthly. Getting $100 is easy, the problem is the limitation in rolls. But I have to see the level of what will come. Apparently better things will come the more you use, maybe even the limit per month will be removed. $1 per GP is very cheap. Without hesitation I open my wallet and take out a $100 bill, and wish to use it in the gacha. The bill disappears. There is nothing gaudy about it. No particles of light or flames. It just disappears. And a 100 GP appears in my view. I wish the gacha to change the display. It becomes a simple screen in the air, the gacha points in the upper right corner. In the center is an empty circle. I think that's where the card will appear. It has two other different tabs. I want to click and it changes the screen to a bunch of standing rectangles. That's where the cards I won't use will be. I can't turn them back into cards, so I have to be careful. Especially with characters that I can't hide or explain their origin. And on the third tab, actually number 1, you have an oversimplified version of character statuses. It has my name, race, and some empty spaces for powers, items, and character assimilation. 1/3 Hector Bellucci de Carvalho race, human character assimilation fully assimilated, none in progress, empty summoned characters, none powers, none equipped items, none then I can absorb or assimilate the characters, gaining their powers or summon them to be my subordinates, lovers, mentors, friends, brothers, etc. And it seems that the simultaneous assimilation is at most 2. How long would it take? Gacha said the characters are loyal, but could I send someone heroic to kill innocents? And also the items. They will be mine, and I can control who can use them, but are they physically summoned forever? Do I have to carry a sword around with me? Or are they stored in their own pocket dimension? A lot of testing is needed. And there is only one way to get answers, using the gacha. Short introduction. But I thought in ending here because the next chapter is already ready and will be released simultaneously. Anyway, I have no idea of how long I will make the chapters. Varies to the moments. Enjoy. Chapter 2. Roll the gacha disclaimer. I own nothing. This history have no interest in offend any party. Having the sole objective of only entertain the readers. Enjoy. Be like a tree, survive the rain but use it to grow. I decided to spend 60 GP for the cards specific to the setting I am in. I am in Marvel, a world of high danger and equally high levels of power. I will gain good things, right? And powers and items from here would be easier to explain. I can't go around using a lightsaber, for now, or Kamehameha. Copyright gonna end me. And spend 30 GP on normal gacha, giving me a total of 20 cards, and hopefully I'll get Dr. Manhattan and have an easy life. But I don't think it's possible at first. But I'll settle for Jiren or Superman. I'm not greedy. With gacha I can become God in an instant. Just be lucky once and bam, multiversal entity. I can't help but let a smile escape. I know I'm in a dangerous world, but I have the opportunity to be super strong, actually the strongest. The nerd and horny teenager in me also thinks about finding and summoning various characters. I can't deny it. But I won't fall into that trap, that's real life. I could die any minute, I have to take it seriously. Maybe because it is so similar to my past, I have no problem adapting. Now, let's spin the gacha. Starting with Marvel gacha, I wish for 60 GP to be consumed and the roll begins. 1 Flurkin 2. Batch of heart-shaped herb 3. Chakra books 4. EDI Biomech Suit V2.0, Earth 1610, 5. Zeta Flight Space Station, Earth 25271, 6. Neutralizer Gun 7. Simplified Marvel CO8. Power Boost Card 9. Loki, Earth 199999/MCU, 10. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Earth 1610, nothing game-breaking, but very good. I haven't become a cosmic hero. But I'm already above the street level guys. I won Miles, the Spider-Man with the best power set. I didn't win a Franklin Richards. But Miles is one of the strongest who are not cosmic level. I already feel a little relieved. Now let's get to the big picture. 30 GP is consumed, leaving me with only 11 GP, which I will keep for now. Roll the gacha. 1 Sword of Actuation, Berserk, 2. Package, Funny. Valentine, JJBASBR, 3. Shonen Setting Travel Ticket, Low Tier /1 month, 4. Batman, Bruce Wayne, DC, 5. 500 CP6. Background Customization Card X057. Source of All Living Matter, Shinjiki no Kyojin, 8. Shago, Kim Possible, 9. Power Boost Card 10. Made in Heaven Stand, JJBA So, well. Again, nothing that will make me bitch slapping everyone, but I am already much stronger than most. I won't die in some alley apparently. So I started to analyze what I won. There's nothing useless is what I thought before, but it's not quite like that. There are things that I can't use, because of momentary circumstances or because I'm unable to at the moment. Made in heaven, a stand that makes the user accelerate infinitely, and able to accelerate non-living things, on a universal scale, being able to bring the universe to its endpoint and start again. But I can't use it, because I don't have Enrico Pucci. That would be bullshit. Why can't I equip Gacha's abilities? The essence said that everything was usable. The answer comes to me as I question in my head. Certain abilities are born of very specific, inherent things in a character. The soul, personality. So I need the character to be compatible. So if I gain Zanpakutos, stands or unique abilities, I need the character to make sense. At least that restriction doesn't apply to powers born of genetics or physics. Gacha will adapt my body apparently. Will my skills be passed on to my children? Food for thought, but it doesn't matter now. That's a problem for the Hector of the future. I don't envy this guy, with all the threats that are coming his way, sucker. Going back to dealing with unique abilities, I will need the user to use stands. Which is not a problem for Funny Valentine, since I won his complete package. Him, his stand, even his clothes, which I will never wear, not even at gunpoint, and an American flag. Then I will have and be able to use D4C no problem, and with no chance of rejection. By the way, these abilities usually have a touch of personality and own will, Zanpakutos and stands, so the requirement for the character is to help me use them without a problem. This restriction is more for my benefit then. And I can use something like a Zanpakuto, like a sharp katana, but I won't be able to use it Shikai and Bankai. The sword of actuation I will not use either, not because I cannot, but because I am not crazy. That sword can open gaps between the real world and the astral world. And by Stan Lee's mustache, I will not use that shit in Marvel. What kind of eldritch abominations or demons can crawl into this world if I carelessly use this fucking thing? Until I get stronger and am used to my possessions, I will try not to cause Armageddon. There are already enough people trying. And Zeta Flight Space Station has a similar problem. The item will appear relatively close by, so I will need to be in space to have my own base in orbit. TSC. I need a cosmic character. The resources on this space station would help me a lot, as well as not being easily accessible to others. Giving me security and privacy. Two things that are scarce in this world. Fucking bald bastards. In total I got 5 characters and a pet. Flurkin is a kind of cat with a universe in its stomach that can eat anything. The Lovecraftian monster in the form of a narcissistic animal. I'm not using it for now either. More trouble than it's worth. Unless I want to dispose of some corpses. Back to the 5 characters, I have to choose which ones I will assimilate and which ones I will invoke. Well, Shago is more useful summoned, right? Cough. I have Batman, Funny Valentine, Miles Morales, and Loki from the MCU. All are good, but I can only assimilate 2 at a time, and I don't know how long it takes to assimilate a character. I need to think a lot when choosing. Apparently, the stronger it is, the longer it takes. And the difference between me and the character is a factor as well. So I as a human wimp will take time to assimilate Loki and Miles, and I am in no hurry to assimilate both of them, because I won't be so easy to kill, thanks to the other items. Source of all living matter is what gave the powers to Foundress Ymir. The healing factor in itself is worth a lot, and EDI Biomech Suit V2.0 is what gave super strength and invulnerability to Thor in the Ultimate Universe. Having Batman's skills and D4C sounds better to me. I have to get used to having powers. Becoming an Asgardian can also bring problems. Better to go into the safe route. I'm the kind of guy who only advances to the next stage when I can one-shot everyone there. And since I'm in Marvel, I better try not to attract attention until I can survive a nuke, or something similar. I materialize the source of all living matter card. It has the image of a transparent hallucigenia and text saying that I will gain the powers of all the titans, super regeneration, will not have the curse of Ymir and will be able to create something similar to the paths. And it also says that if I train I can do things that were never shown in the manga. I use it without further hesitation. The card glows for an instant, disappears, and I feel my spine warm for a few seconds. And then I don't feel any different. I'm afraid I'll cut myself to test my regeneration and turn into a 300-meter titan in this residential area. I will use the funny Valentine card now. After the card disappears, I feel different. I have something I can call on. And I feel that something is changing. I will open my status page. 1/3 Hector Bellucci de Carvalho race, human character assimilation fully assimilated, none in progress, funny Valentine, 5% empty summoned characters, none powers, source of all living matter, dirty deeds done dirt cheap, stand, equipped items, none already at 5%. I try to call D4C. A light blue ghostly figure with red details and what looks like rabbit ears emerges from my body. I would have sworn the details were pink, I thought to myself as I stand facing D4C. Maybe it has adapted to me. I wish D4C to pick up a book, and he does without hesitation. D4C was a stand with no apparent personality, and I have no problem controlling him. I decide to do a test. I take a pen from the table, and without hesitation I stab it in my hand. D4C hold the pen between two of his fingers, faster than I can see. So it's the same type of stand as Star Platinum. I can't help but speak. D4C, it is a close-range stand, with all its statuses at A, and with dimension jumping powers. I will test it lightly. I start crouching to get under my bed. And I wish to use D4C skill. In my vision it opens up a world of possibilities where I can reappear. Like the vacuum of space, with various entrances where I can enter to reappear, some near and some far. The condition is that it is in a place that has two objects that make something similar to a passage. I step out from behind my study desk, between it and the wall. I can't help but smile. I can use powers. How cool is that? Ha ha ha. Hey, don't judge me. I'm just a normal teenager. I say, pointing at D4C. Now I have an escape route and high regeneration. I can feel safer in this dangerous world. Freeubnovel.cm. Before assimilating Batman, I will test the biomech suit from Ultimate Thor. If it doesn't do what I expect, I will change my mind and assimilate Miles. I take the card and materialize it, a garment that looks like a bulletproof vest with a thick belt and 6 circles of light appear in my hand, and I start to put it on. The suit should be for someone bigger than me. I watch the loose-fitting suit on my naked torso. But in a moment it begins to adjust, and becomes tighter, as if it was made for me. Looking in the mirror I see myself. A young man of 16-year-old, with curly rebellious black hair and blue dull eyes, and I am damn skinny. This outfit would looks better on someone much more muscular, I notice by looking at my thin arms. I've never considered myself handsome, but my parents are handsome, so it's in the genetics somewhere. It just hasn't blossomed yet. I hope. My father is a handsome and charming man, 188 centimeters, light brown skin, brown eyes, chiseled jaw, black hair that he keeps in a buzz cut, and he has muscles that you wouldn't expect under that medical coat. The guy has an easy smile that can captivate anyone. I don't know how he does it, but he arrives at an unknown place, and everybody becomes his best friend before he leaves. My mother is a beautiful woman, straight blonde hair, 160 centimeters, blue eyes that seem to glow and can make everyone like her, from how kind she can be. And there is me. I am not tall like my father, nor do I have that healthy, tanned skin tone. My hair is curly and unruly, my eyes are blue but not sparkling like my mother's. And puberty is not being nice to me. I look awkward, pimples, a shadow of a goatee, dental braces, and the development of my body is all out of place. I sigh. Maybe the cards will let me pick up some of the characters' looks. I wouldn't mind having Batman's muscles, but it's not my looks that I need to focus on right now. This costume apparently enhances all my physical attributes. Let's go. The circles begin to glow and I finally feel power running through my body. My muscles haven't increased or anything like that, but I know that if I punch that wall, my fist will go through without any problems. To confirm this, I approach my bed and lift it with one hand with no problem. Nice. D4C, punch me, I say to the floating stand. Come on, I know you instinctively protect me. But if Jotaro can make Star Platinum stop his heart to fool Dio, you can punch me to test my durability. But take it easy at first. I know I sound like a coward, but better safe than sorry. I don't want to become a donut. D4C punch me in the arm without another thought after I brace myself and I feel nothing. I mean, I felt the punch connecting with my arm, but it didn't hurt, and it doesn't seem to have any bruises. Huh. Neat. That costume is awesome. With that I don't need to assimilate Miles for now. Let's see what kind of changes Batman will bring me in the long run. Ring, but before I can make the Batman card in my hand disappear, the telephone in the residence rings. Annoyed by the interruption, I decide to go and settle this soon, so that I can get back to my discoveries. Hello, Carvalho residence. How can I help you? Hello. Hector, right? I am Christine Palmer, work with your relatives. I have bad news. The voice on the other end begins hesitantly, before starting to speak and proceeding to turn my world upside down. Click. After I finish the call, I stare in shock into nothingness. My unconscious gaze goes to the Batman card that I still have in my hand. This universe has a pretty twisted sense of humor, huh? I chuckle humorlessly. My parents are dead. Chapter 3. Cliché sad origin backstory Frobnall.com. Disclaimer: I own nothing. This history have no interest in offend any party, having the sole objective of only entertain the readers. Enjoy. I have come to understand the world will have its way with us despite what we might wish, or once believed. Ron Rash. Yes, it's them, I confirm, choking a little, to the policeman as the zipper is opened. I almost can't believe it. Today was a roller coaster of emotions. I was so excited 30 minutes ago. And now this. These are not fictional body parents that I stole in my transmigration, and now I no longer have to worry about having them nagging me as I go about discovering this new world. These are my parents in the past life and in this life. The same ones. I want to scream and cry. Blame someone, but I stay calm for now. At least until I get home to cry in the shower. Okay, thank you. It was a car accident. It seems they lost control and fell into the East River. They were submerged for a while, probably unconscious. They didn't resist until they got to the hospital. The policeman next to me reports the case, his voice distant to my ears. My eyes still fixed on the bodies. I'm sorry for your loss, son. He gives me his condolences before walking away. I don't know if it is the Batman card, which I have already put on to assimilate, but I am putting on a strong front. Without collapsing in tears, I continue to look at my parents, and observe in more detail. Maybe his paranoia has already taken root in my being, but I feel that there is something fishy here. My father is a great swimmer. He drives as carefully as possible. I picked this up from him. There are no marks on his hand from any attempted escape. My mother is the same. Did they just fall into the river and decide to drown? Dr. Palmer approaches slowly, snapping me out of my thoughts. Hector, I know this is difficult. Why don't you come sit here with me for a minute? She says, trying to guide me into a deserted hallway of this hospital wing. Probably wanting to give me privacy in case I want to cry, but I'm just in shock. I'm sorry, doctor, but can I stay alone with my parents one moment, please? I say without looking at her. Oh, of course, take all the time you need. I will stay outside, she says, squeezing my shoulder a little to comfort me. When I am alone in the room, I finally cry a little. I need 1 minute to calm myself. After this I look to my parents. I truly look to my parents. I start fumbling with their clothes, looking for something. I'm not looking to any object. I know that they already been retrieved them. I am looking to their skins. There's no seatbelt marks in their shoulders. Nothing that says fighting for his life under the water. My suspicious only grew. But I will not find anything more there, so I decide to leave the room. Dr. Palmer is still waiting for me, just like she said. I pass her and sit in a bench against the wall. So she starts again, hesitantly, after sitting next to me. Your parents were good friends of mine. If you need anything, don't hesitate to look me up. Thank you, doctor. It just doesn't seem real, you know? So abrupt. Today is my birthday, goddammit. I can't believe it. I say, bringing my hands to my face and leaning forward, trying to hide whatever ugly looks I'm showing. I feel her hand on my shoulder, trying to comfort me. I don't know what it is, but I don't want anyone to see me so vulnerable. I stand up and say a few words to her, already trying to leave. I thank you for your consideration, doctor, but I need some time alone. Try to rest. Sure. Do you want me to drive you home? She asks me. No, I don't want to disturb you. I'll take a cab, I reply. I really need some time alone. I say goodbye to her, hearing again that she will be at my disposal should I need her, and repeating her condolences. Already in the cab, I start to think. Dr. Christine Palmer. I remember she was a love interest of Doctor Strange in the MCU. In the comics she was a nurse, here she is a surgeon, similar to the MCU. Except the year is 2004, and there is already an Iron Man in the world. In fact, last month was the Stark Expo, where the events of the Iron Man 2 movie took place. There is also a Spider-Man. In hindsight I realize that Peter became Spider-Man in the end of last year. I remember the trip to Oscorp. I am not his friend, but I remember he looks bad at the end of the day. I had even considered going to check on him, but he already had Ned for that. I'm the lonely, awkward socially type. I hesitate to make conversation. Me, Peter and Gwen Stacy just have a certain mutual respect for each other for being intelligent. That's the limit of my social life. This universe seems to follow the MCU timeline, in the big events, but it seems to have elements and characters from the comics. I remember now that Doctor Strange was a co-worker of my parents as well, and his accident already occurred, a few months ago. It seems that I am in a transition period where the great things of this world will start to become more public. I need to research carefully, so as not to attract the wrong kind of attention. I have my biomech suit under my clothes right now, just in case. My parents have just died in a car accident after all, and I am in a car. When I think about it, that feeling of something wrong comes back. Intuition? Never had it. Could it be the hidden abilities of the Batman card? Could it be that someone wants my parents dead? Why? They don't work for the government? Not that I know of. A part of my mind whispers to me, this is a new world, maybe they're in some sort of super secret work. Did they step on someone's toes? Or was it greed? My parents are rich. My mother has shares in several hospitals, the one I just visited included inheritance from my grandfather. It seems my mother was the only daughter who was not a disappointment. Or are they just unlucky? They saw something by chance. Cutting loose ends? Revenge? Jealousy? Or maybe some kind of cosmic justice? Maybe in my old world I died, and in this world it is my parents. Maybe I am being watched by a bunch of R.O.B.S who are placing bets on how this traumatic event will influence my life. Hero or villain? Ha, I sigh, no use thinking about it for now. I'll try to let it go, but not forget about it. I will research that in the future. If someone really eliminated my parents, it means that I am being watched at this very moment. I need to act the part of a clueless teenager in grief. The cab arrives at my house. After paying more than the necessary, I get out of the car and go into the house. I take my gift from my pocket. The police officer give to me early. I open to find a watch. A very good one. Hehe, I think they want to say something about my habits of always arriving late. In the back of the watch there are words that say, time waits for no one tch. I don't want to think about anything else until now. Today was the craziest day of my life. I'm going to sleep. Maybe I will wake up in my old world, with my parents alive. 1/3. Hector Bellucci de Carvalho race, human character assimilation fully assimilated, none in progress, funny Valentine, 9% Batman, 6% summoned characters, none powers, source of all living matter, dirty D's done dirt cheap, stand, equipped items, EDI biomech suit v2.0 others, chapter 4, time waits for no one disclaimer, I own nothing. This history have no interest in offend any party, having the sole objective of only entertain the readers. Enjoy. Change is inevitable. Growth is optional. Joan C. Maxwell. I open my eyes because of my alarm clock. I see it's 5:30 a.m., so early because my dad had started making me join him on his morning jogs. Start living a healthier lifestyle, he said. I reach my arm to the ceiling and flex my power. A ghostly pale blue hand leaves my arm. It wasn't a dream, and I didn't go back. I whisper, as I put my forearm over my eyes. Damn it, I allow myself to stay in depression for a minute, until I realize that nothing will change. I get up without batting an eye and go get my glasses. I get them right away, without even fumbling a bit. My movements are more precise, in fact my vision is great. I open my status or character sheet, because I'm not a gamer. 1/3 Hector Bellucci de Carvalho race, human character assimilation fully assimilated, none in progress, funny Valentine, 16% Batman, 12% it made progress while I slept. Did I assimilate memories or something during REM sleep? I'll look at myself in the mirror and, wow, muscles began to show. It wasn't a Tobey Maguire-like transformation. Like in the first Spider-Man movie, but I'm more defined and taller. My hair is softer and the pimples are gone a little too. Neat. I think I'll run alone anyway. Physically I feel great and full of energy. I need to move. And I didn't even look at everything I won yesterday in more detail. I'll analyze it as I run. I quickly put on my running clothes and realize that my movements are actually more efficient, more precise. Batman. Maybe even the fact that I'm strong-willed enough to go out for a run so early instead of staying in bed has something to do with assimilation. Leaving the house and realizing how cold it is this morning doesn't stop me, and I get moving. And I start to think, how far do my card assimilation gains go? Initially I thought I would gain their status, skills, powers. But maybe I earn more than that. Earn their talents, traits, willpower, hobbies, more subtle things. I have to be careful not to assimilate the Joker, or someone similar, until I'm sure I only get good things from his personality. Having Batman was very lucky. The truth is, I'm not this amazing guy who would be perfect as a protagonist in some story. I'm pretty ordinary, with an ordinary life. Bruce Wayne, despite not having a cosmic level strength, can help me correct several problems that would probably be the cause of my eventual early death in this world. Genius-level intellect, hardworker, unbreakable will, and various skills he has learned over the years. I'm not a genius, not even in my old world, let alone this one. I'm very smart, but not a genius. If I were to catalog Einstein and Hawkins as 10/10 geniuses in my old world, I would be a 8/10. I was the top of my class, but I didn't have a brilliant, revolutionary, or inquisitive mind. And in the world of Marvel, where characters break that scale, Reed Richards and Thanos, who are probably 15/10, and even Tony Stark and Peter Parker, who must be 13/10. I'm still one of the smartest in school, but it's more about knowing how to study, good memory and stuff. I know I wouldn't be in the future on any history book page as someone who changed the world. In fact, that was one of my concerns and reasons of lack of confidence. Disappointing my parents, who are very intelligent and respected in their field of competence. So I'm very happy to be among the smartest people on the planet now. Thank you very much. Too bad I didn't get the full Bartman package, as well as funny Valentines. Would I get the Wayne Enterprises? I would be happy with just the suit and Batmobile. Maybe the Hellbat armor too. Now I have a wardrobe full of pink clothes and coats, and a USA flag, because it came in Valentine's package. Speaking of Valentine, I haven't tested that thing. I mutter to myself and start looking around. And quickly spot another fellow runner coming down the path to my right. I change direction for him, and start running towards him. Nothing strange. When I'm close enough I make D4C appear quickly and in front of him. A jump scare to be exact. But he doesn't even react, and crosses D4C as if he wasn't even there. So normal people can't see you. Nice. I say, looking at D4C, who floats beside me. But one test is not enough. I spot a hobo sitting against a wall and start moving towards him. I take a granola bar out of my pocket and hold it out to him. Hey dude. Here. He looks at me and takes the cereal with a grateful nod. Not even looking at the pale blue head a few inches in front of him, coming out of his torso. I wish for D4C to come back, and when I turn my back to go my way, I make D4C grab his arm. What the hell? He screams and starts trying to escape. Are you okay, man? I ask, pretending to be worried. My hand is paralyzed. He says, yeah, it's really cold out here. You should find somewhere else to sit. I say, narrowing my eyes, and make D4C hold on tighter. Fingers? Fingerses. They're fingers, something holding my arm. GG ghost. When he starts to despair, I make my stand release his arm. Hey man, come down. You're not drunk, are you? Take a deep breath and come down and you'll get better, I say, crouching down to his eye level. After D4C lets go of him, he calms down, takes a deep breath and walks away, still muttering something under his breath. Well, that went well, I guess. Ignoring the fact that I might destroy that guy's sanity. But he'll probably be fine. And this will become a good story for him to tell his hobo friends around a burning trash can. Stands act exactly like stands should act. There was no nerf on them. Good to know, but I don't know how they interact with people who are connected with mysticism and magic. After all, there is no magic in JoJo, to make a comparison. And I think ghosts in JoJo could see stands. like that girl in part 4. Changing the subject, something I've noticed now is that I'm not tired, and I'm outpacing most other early runners. And I'm not even wearing the Thor suit. It wouldn't be training if I cheated after all. So, I think I'm instinctively running more efficiently than they are. Neat. I have to catalog my other stuff. I will do it while I run. My spatial awareness seems phenomenal. I feel people approaching by breathing, footsteps, and even air displacement. Batman is broken. Peak human, you're goddamn right. Something that was bothering me was those 500 CYOA points. Can be used on any CYOA document won by Gacha. All prices have been equalized. CO. I got a very weak Marvel CYOA, seems to be a jump chain, has powers, but all low level like invisibility and shapeshifting. It has some interesting items like adamantium or vibranium weapons. But I won't spend CP for now. I will wait for the need to arise. And it seems like they stay forever. Like a store. Because a fourth tab has appeared. For CYOA documents, and the 500 CP are indicated there in the upper right corner. Regarding consumables, I have 2 power boost cards, 5 background customization card and a shonen setting travel ticket, low tier /1 month. The travel ticket allows me to spend a month in a shonen anime or manga that is not so high in power levels. Time will not pass here. I can go there anytime on the timeline of that world. I cannot bring back people alive, and only objects I can carry. And some items will not work here. Like Dragon Balls. But if I win Dragon Balls in Gacha, it will work normally. The best option would be to go to an anime where I can learn something, like Naruto or One Piece. When I go there, my body will adapt to the laws of the universe and I will be able to use chakra or haki, without having to gain a character from their world. Or maybe I should go to a high-tech world, and learn never-before-seen scientific advances there. Well, let's leave the ticket for the future. I need to weigh my options carefully. The background customization card apparently has 2 uses. They can be used in conjunction with travel ticket, allowing me to have a background in that world, rather than arriving as a drop-in. That would make things easier. And it's to be used by my summons. As long as it makes a little bit of sense. For example, I can make Shago have been trained by the Red Room. That would give documents and a history of the world I'm in. I won't have to keep creating false documents and figuring out where my harem came from. I mean, subordinates. The power boost cards are self-explanatory. Allows you to improve a power qualitatively and quantitatively. But I don't know how big that boost will be. I could save it for a better power in the future, but I have 2. And I need to know how it works. I can use in my founding Titan power, which I don't see much of an advantage in the world of Marvel, other than regeneration. Or in D4C, which maybe evolves into Requiem, or awakens Love Train. I can wait and see if I can upgrade Loki's capabilities, and see if I can transform him from his MCU form to his comics counterpart. But I will use in D4C. It's my most discreet power. Make my mind, I don't hesitate further. I don't even need to take that card out of my inventory. It disappears after I wished it was used in D4C. And I didn't wake up Love Train. TCH, I wanted to redirect my misfortune to other people. I whine a little. I stop running and sit on a bench in a park, and I'm going to test out the changes. First, D4C can go 10 meters away from me now, before the limit was 2 meters. And it seems to be 3 times stronger. One of his abilities is that in case I was mortally wounded I could transfer my consciousness to an alternative version of myself. That was shit. I can now transfer my injuries to alternate versions of myself. Sorry, I from other worlds. Is for the greater good. My greater good. The greater good of Hector Prime. Self-declared, there are infinite versions of myself, which means if I don't die instantly, I'm immortal. I also feel like I could awaken a new skill. But I don't know how many boost cards would be needed. Better not use the other one for now. As I'm seated, I start to think when I'll summon Shago, she's my only possible summon. And I don't even say that because I'm horny. I'm already assimilating Valentine and Bruce. And I can't have Loki and Miles as subordinates. It would cause more questions than I need to. And the powers of these 2 I can use to increase my personal strength. Don't make a mistake. If I had gotten Power Girl or Wonder Woman I wouldn't hesitate to assimilate both. Hot women or not. My personal strength comes above my dick. But there's nothing Shago would do that others wouldn't do better. Like spying for Batman, physical abilities with Miles, and energy projection with Loki. So having her as my right-arm woman, it's not just because she's my childhood crush. No sir. But even with the background cards, I won't summon it now. I need to be strong enough to control her in case she isn't as loyal as I imagine she will be. And I need to establish myself better in this world. I can barely take care of myself. How will I have subordinates? Another of my items is a compilation from Chakra books. Normally I would think it referred to Naruto, which would be really cool, but since it came from my Marvel Gacha, I know it's not. Reading the description of the card, it seems that it talks about the mystical arts of this world, like seeing the supernatural, strengthening the body, meditating, runes, finding channels and chakra points, finding yourself yada yada, which is great in itself. I don't want to have to rely on Ancient One or Doctor Strange to learn magic. What I least want right now is to get attention. Stay under the radar until I have some global scale threat to deal. Or be strong enough to just not care. I get up excited to begin my initiation into magic. I can't materialize the books in public. So I decide to run home. Arriving home, I am surprised by a familiar face. Dr. Palmer. Are you looking for me? I ask, surprising the doctor, who looked worried as she fiddled with her cell phone. Hector. You scared me. I mean, you're here? I was worried. I come here, and no one looks to be in home, and I started to think. The doctor starts talking quickly to me as she puts her cell phone in her pocket. And I look at her. I really look at her. Dark circles, messy hair, slightly shaky hands. Eye twitching a little. Signs of lack of sleep and excess caffeine. She must have finished her shift by now, and she came to check on me. She didn't find me and thought the worst, that I made a mistake, maybe even committed suicide. Strange, since when am I so good at observing details like that? You're a nice person, Dr. Palmer. You came straight from your job to check on me, even if you don't have to. I say, smiling a little. What? Of course I'm gonna look for you. I really mean what I say back there. I want to help you. Your parents are great friends. Is the least I can do. That's no problem at all. And I believe this, she is genuinely nice. Looking back at her appearance, I ask, when will you need to go back to the hospital? My evening turn starts at 3 p.m. She answers without much thought. Damn, that's rough. Say, why don't you sleep here, eats a little, and after you are appropriately rested, you go back to saving lives. I offer, a little worried. And I really want to repay her nice attitude. What? No, I don't want to impose. I just go rest in home, she answers. And how far is your home? I ask instantly afterwards. A little far, she responds after a little hesitation, apparently noticing that she doesn't have a good reason to decline my offer. Look, Dr. I know you probably want to look like a trusted adult to me in this difficult time. She flinches a little. I see right through her apparently. Weird. I'm nailing in reading her and giving reasonable responses. But you look really tired. Maybe this is normal to you. Maybe I'm overstepping. Maybe it's unnecessary. But I really don't want you to drive in this fatigued state, I say, and now she flinches visibly. Thoughts about how my parents that just dies in a car accident. Could you please sleep a little? I will wake you to lunch. And after you eat, I will feel really better and let you go drive to a little far away. After my little guilty trap, she cedes and accepts my hospitality. Damn, I am smooth now. As I lead her into one of the guest rooms and point out the bathroom in case she wants to use it, I think how I'm really assimilating the hidden status and talents of some sort of the characters. Valentine is the president, a social and charismatic person, and Bruce knows his way to navigate the high society, and they're influencing me. Or better, I am learning from them. More attention to detail, a more critical mind, charisma, high confidence, self-esteem. The Hector of 2 days ago had none of those things. I have none of the urges or vices, supernationalism, or dislike of firearms. So I think I only assimilate beneficial things, with few, if any, downsides. Neat. Looking in the mirror again, without glasses because I don't really need them anymore, I admire myself little. I'm looking really nice. I didn't change drastically, but I did go up a notch on the hot scale. I'll check, and I see that Valentine's increased by 1% and Bruce's 3%. There may be two explanations for this. One, the more the percentage, the longer the assimilation will take. Two, the training run, analyze, test my powers, etc. I acted more like Bruce, so I assimilated more of his character, doing things the character would do, or using his abilities. Training like him accelerates assimilation. I'll have to go heavier in training, although I'm not in a hurry because there's no immediate danger. I have to think that every minute with the slot occupied is a minute that I could be assimilating another character. Going to make my breakfast. Dr. Palmer just went to bed. She said she would have something to eat when she woke up. I start thinking about a workout regimen, things to buy and things to do. I need a lawyer, and I need to prepare the funeral, warn family and friends. I have to talk to my paternal grandparents there in Brazil. They will be devastated. TCH. That's not the kind of thing someone as young as me should be worried about. I mumble as I drink my coffee. That coffee actually looks more bitter today. Chapter 5, Doing Adult Stuff. Not the fun type though. Disclaimer, I own nothing. This history have no interest in offend any party. Having the sole objective of only entertain the readers. Enjoy. If you don't have enemies, you don't have character. Paul Newman. I'm not feeling tired. I think to myself as I collect certain things that I will study now. I slept little. I ran. And I still feel refreshed. None of the cards I'm assimilating have superhuman physical characteristics. But I remember reading somewhere that Batman had trained himself to only need 3 HRS of sleep, and be like he got 8 HRS. Alfred also thought the training was so inhumane, that anyone else would have died or gone insane. And here I am, reaping all the benefits, without any of the suffering or effort. Feels good to cheat. But I don't have time to just sit around and wait for the powers to come to me. For all I know, this world could be Marvel Zombies, and it could happen tomorrow. That's why I've already planned my training routine, in order to assimilate Miles as quickly as possible. I want to have assimilated them all by the next monthly draw. Stopping to think. I think it was good to start with the weakest ones. And even not having anyone overpowered at first. How long would it take for me to assimilate Darkseid or a Celestial? Heck, even Superman should last for months of assimilation. From a weak normal guy to Superman, it can't be that simple. It almost makes me have thoughts of just summoning the very OP characters. I would have them instantly serving me. But I get that thought out of my mind in the next second. Personal power is the best type of power. When I'm going to assimilate characters like Thor, I need to be at least a similar power level. To take days, I can't spend months with the slot full. I wonder if the number of slots will increase in the future. Probably yes. I hope from a yes. Sipping my coffee, I open a laptop. My father laptop. I need clues. I'll look for everything he's done lately. If he was messing with suspicious people, I'll know. He kept everything on this laptop. I'll turn the house upside down using D4C later, when I don't have a visitor. But for now I can start by looking at the most obvious places. And although I'm excited to learn magic from the books I got, I know that I am not a gamer, that the books will disappear in my hand and I will gain the knowledge and how to use it in an instant. It will take time and discipline. That's why I'll read the books when I can fully dedicate myself to them. I don't even know if I can use magic, or if I have talent. I know Loki's card will help me, but since I can't assimilate him now, so much to do, and there's only one of me, and summoning someone else would cause me to have more things to do instead of helping me with my problems right now. TCH going back to the laptop, my father's password I already knew. He was never the type to hide anything. So, deep down, I'm already half aware that I won't find anything suspicious in it. Can be my biased thinking, but I don't think they are involved with something shady. I think they're victim. And they're surprised as me, for what's happened, when it happened. Half an hour later, nothing. There are things related to family and friends, photos, trips that have started to be planned. Work stuff. Patient files, which I'll look more closely at later, looking up everything about them, texts and written surveys. Emails, work. His life is us and his patients. I'm a little relieved that I didn't find out that my father was, I don't know, associated with Hydra, and was experimenting on mutants, or something like that. Perhaps the death of the two is simply the result of someone's greed. Or perhaps even simpler, an accident. No, I know it's not. Someone is responsible. And I won't let my guard down until I find out. I'm making lunch, having looked through more papers and documents in my parents' room. And once again I didn't find anything that led anywhere. I did half an hour of shadow boxing to expend all that energy I have now, and I noticed that my movements became more fluid over time, as if I've remembered how to fight, after staying rusted for a long time. I know it was because I lacked muscle memory. At the end of my short shadow boxing session, my movements in the mirror were incredibly fast and accurate, which even surprised myself. Batman's percentage went up by 1 more. Now I'm thinking about joining some dojos. But time is very precious to me right now. I will look for tutorials on the internet. Speaking of internet, in addition to looking for my parents' things, I went to research the state of the world on my computer. Funny that despite being 2004, my PC is a good a sum of 2010 to 12. Thank you, genius of this world. And these geniuses were my main research focus. I can't look up very specific and secret names with my meta-knowledge, but I can research scientists, people famous enough that it wouldn't be strange for a young geek like me to be interested. I also did some stupid research between one and the other, as entertainment, manga, anime, porn, everything to mislead. I cannot be careless. Maybe they have a program on the internet that alerts them if someone writes certain names. First and at least, many things in entertainment are the same. Famous titles like Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, Star Wars also exist here. Older manga like Hajime no Ippo, Yu Yu Hakusho, Evangelion 2. But Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, and movie franchises from the mid-90s that I knew in my old world don't exist here. Now the most important. Iron Man, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man and Hulk are already common knowledge. In the MCU these things would start in 2008. I'm not in easy mode then. Mutants are a thing too. Magneto is pretty famous international terrorist, but no mention of the X-Men. But I search about Henry McCoy and Charles Xavier, and they are well respected in the scientific community. But Dr. McCoy rarely appears. I think someone is already blue. As a side note, there's a mutant ghetto here in New York. I think with 1,000 inhabitants, very shitty place, but can be useful in the future. Bayville High School exists as well, with a certain institute for youngster gifters nearby. I believe the X-Men must be in my age group, which could mean X-Men, evolution. But it's best not to rely on meta-knowledge other than knowing that characters exist and their powers. I have no idea that they will be good or evil. I'll just use it as a reference. For all I know this is the ultimate universe and Wanda/Pietro is a Alabama thing. I sigh at the thought that there are people with unstable sanity out there with powers to wipe out this planet. And Wanda is just one of many. I need to win a spaceship in Gacha. And having the option to just yeet myself from this planet. Something smells good. Dr. Christine Palmer says, walking into the kitchen, looking a lot more relaxed. Wearing my mother's shirt and pants, which I'd left for her in case she wanted to. I noticed her approaching right before she announced her presence. I faintly noticed to myself, "You look a lot better, and that outfit fits you perfectly," I say. "Oh, these are really comfortable, I will give it back later," she says, smoothing the clothes over herself. "You can keep if you want. I was planning on donating most of my parents' stuff. Superfluous stuff in the case. Nothing with sentimental value. Clothes, shoes, and maybe auction some watches and jewelry online. And give the money to charity." She stops and looks at me impressed. "What? I don't know, that will be disrespectful or not, but I think they would like, they always helped people in life. So I thought I'd do one last good deed on their behalf. Or something like that," I say a little uncertainly, trying to explain myself too much, maybe, but I don't want her to think I'm a heartless bastard. I think that is wonderful. They would love it. "That's very nice from you, Hector," she says with a hand in my shoulder. After a comfortable silence, and when it started to turn into an uncomfortable silence, I decided to change the mood by drawing attention to the food. "I don't know what you like, so I made a mistake-proof recipe. Vegan Caesar salad and baked chicken rollatini with spinach," I say, starting to put the food on the table. The good doctor hurries to help with dishes and cutlery. "It's light enough not to leave you bloated and gives you energy to carry on for a long day. Wow, looks great. You will be a very good catch to any lady out there," she says, teasing me a little. 2 days ago I probably blush and change the subject. "But, my good doctor, are you implying something? Just a heads up. To me, age is just a number," I say, exaggeratedly flirty, for her to see that. I am just kidding. She chuckles and give me a playful slap in the shoulder. Haha. A number like the 5 on my sentence, she retorts. Please. I'm sure that you can take just community service, I will even help you. I say, showing my palms, to placate her. Well, I can present to you some good girls. I'm worried that you will be led astray of the right path for someone ill-intentioned. I have some cute nieces, if you want. Hey, a niece of you can't be more than 10-year-old, right? So I'll have to refuse. I don't steal cradles. Now she laughs loudly. Ha ha ha. Aren't you too charming? Now I'm worried about whatever lady catches your eye, not the other way around. I can't guide my innocent nieces to an evil boy like you. She responds. Ah, there's no woman who doesn't like to have her age downsized. And she called me boy, so I have zero chance for now, huh? I can change the subject. Well, let's dig in. All this food can't disappear for itself, I say, gesturing to the table, after finishing all preparations. During lunch we have a light conversation. When we're done and she's helping me with the dishes, the topic gets a little more serious. I will take care of the funeral, don't worry, she said when I mentioned some things I had to do. I don't want to burden you more, I reply. That would help me a lot. I don't know anything about how to organize something like that. It won't be a problem. In fact, I've already started. And the hospital is helping. It will be tomorrow, if that's okay with you. Actually, I should have talked to you earlier, but it turns out I was more tired than I thought, she says, apologizing. Is there a friend of yours you want to call? She asks after a moment. No, I think only they family and friends from work should go. And I don't have any friends either way. I still have to notify my grandparents in Brazil. I don't even know how to broach the subject. I decide to talk to her. Look, my paternal grandparents are in Brazil. It wouldn't be possible for them to arrive on time. I don't even know if they would want the 2 of them buried here. I'm sure not for my father. But at the same time, my parents wouldn't like to be separated. So I was thinking, is it possible to cremate both, gather the ashes and then divide them? I want the 2 of them to have a ceremony here and in my father's hometown. She looks at me. I think that's possible. I will arrange, she says after thinking a little over. I smile. Thanks, doctor, you have no idea of the weight that you are taking from my shoulders. I mean truly, I honestly don't want to have to deal with the funeral. My chest tightens just thinking about it. I know it's bullshit, that I'll have to face the 2 of them being buried forever. But a part of me just wants to delay this moment as long as possible. Please. I'm glad that I can help. And call me Aunt Chris. No need to be so formal, okay, if you insist. Thanks, Aunt Chris, she smiles, and after a while she decides to go. I will inform you later tonight the time and place of the funeral. Now I have to go, get some things from my apartment, and go back to work. Yay, she finishes, faking excitement. You have my contact, don't hesitate to call, she says as I guide her to the door. Before leaving she turns around and puts her hand on my shoulder and speaks. You're acting very mature, for all that's happened, your parents must be proud. And she gives me a kiss on the cheek before walking out the door and getting in the car. After giving her a little nod, I enter the house. It's time to learn magic. According to what I knew from my past life, unlike DC magic, which always has a price to pay, like memories, emotions, or the universe going to charge you somehow in the future with karma. In Marvel, you use magic with energy. You manipulate energy to alter, manipulate, create what you have in mind, regarding the purpose of magic. Maybe make fire, summon storms, create illusions, heal wounds. But you need some power source for all cases. The problem is that not all beings have these reserves of energy to use, like the Aesir of Asgard. Then you can take that energy from other beings, deities, cosmic forces, or dimension. In the MCU, the Ancient One takes energy from the Dark Dimension. In the comics, Selene Gallio takes life force from people. The gods of Asgard have their own Ivanity and maybe dimensions of their own. I think Mjolnir is connected to an external dimension as well, so Thor had trouble utilizing his divinity. He cheated. So being without Mjolnir allowed him to grow not only in character but also in strength. That's why Odin banished him. I think I read somewhere that Thor was sent to Midgard to be a blind spot for those who see above in shadow, who are the ones who make the Ragnarok cycle, and Odin wanted some hope to save it. Asgard. Not sure, I read on the wiki. I've never read the comics so hard, only the most famous ones. Civil War, House of M, Planet Hulk, and others. Who can blame me? I'm young, and it's hard for new fans to get their bearings with so many reboots and alternate universes and timelines. I'm getting off topic. Back to magic. These chakra books are different from what I thought. They don't teach you how to get energy from other places, or how to use amazing spells that can level cities. It teaches to meditate, achieve inner peace, increase your inner strength, circulate your aura or chi, open meridians and chakra gates, strengthen the body and mind, create mental spaces, make astral projections. More basic stuff. But that for me is exactly what I need. I have the Loki card, but it's the MCU card, where Asgardians are aliens that people in the past confused with gods and created religion. They're not that impressive compared to the Asgardians in the main universe, and probably this universe I'm in. So I'll have to learn the most basic magic. And say for one, making an oath to never draw energy from any outside force. I don't think I need it anyway. Just win a card from some protagonist ice guy and bam. Mana. At that moment when I was on the third and final book, in a part that interested me a lot about creating a palace for mental defense, the doorbell rings. Can a man take a breath to become a wizard? Opening the door I find a man in a suit and briefcase. Everything about him screams lawyer, and my instincts scream shady lawyer. Mr. Carvalho? Hector Carvalho, I presume. He says with a smile on his face. Yeah, and you are. I say, with only my face visible. He doesn't know it, but D4C is behind him ready to turn him into a docknet if he makes any suspicious moves. I've looked around, and he seems to be alone. His car is a Mercedes-Benz parked right in front of my house. I'm Leopold Darrow, the lawyer of your relatives. First of all, I must say that I am terribly sorry for this tragedy. They don't deserve such an unlucky accident to befall on them. He says with a face full of regret, but I'm not buying anything that he is saying. I'm grateful for you kind words, Mr. Darrow, but I have to ask the reason for you visit. I say, letting my grief show on my face. I now have a pretty good poker face, but will be strange if I show nothing when talking about the death of my parents just yesterday. Well, as hard a moment is my legal duty to pass some information to you, Mr. Carvalho, he says apologetically. Of course. Don't worry, you are only doing your job. Enter, please. Do you want a drink or something like that? I offer and open the door fully now, and guide him to an empty guest room, with nothing to him to see. I will accept, please. Will be a long talk. Water would be good, he says smiling after and while opening his briefcase, and taking a bunch of papers. All right. I will be right back, make yourself comfortable. After bringing a jar of water and 2 glasses, I sit at the table and start listening to what Mr. Darrow have to say. Just as I expect, he talks about my parents' assets, money, life assurance. He looks very competent. I find no flaw in his talk. Later I will double check if nothing have been left out, but he don't appear to be lying about the money, at least for the little that I know. But he appears to be avoiding a certain topic. My legal guardian. I narrow my eyes slightly, and decides to try to get this guy out of his comfort zone. Miss good that you're so efficient, Mr. Darrow. I want to resolve these pending issues as early as possible. I'm thinking in return to Brazil, and I've with my grandparents. And I finally see a reaction on that face that apparently has a little perpetual smile. He widens his eyes, and then disguises himself to normal. If he'd just shown surprise, he wouldn't have been so suspicious. But the fact that he instinctively and immediately tries to disguise that reaction, say that something smell fishy. My paternal grandparents living in Brazil, and if there's someone of my family that I can be absolutely certain that don't have anything to do with my parents' deaths, are them. They live very simply on a small farm where my father grew up. They are kind and relaxed people. They don't care much for material goods. Even with my dad constantly sending money, they never used it. They keep it in an account in case of an eventuality, like a natural disaster or something. People who live off the land are like that. You have to be prepared for the will of heaven, they always say. In the end my father gave up on making them live more luxuriously, and just tries to convince them to stop toiling in the fields and live without working for the rest of their lives. But they can't even do that. Ho ho. It's not easy to stop a person who has worked honestly all his life. Idleness and boredom would do more harm than good to my grandparents. That's why I talked about my paternal grandparents. I can at any time leave this place that seems to be the center of problems, New York. I always have that option. Maybe in the future if this country have something like Super Registration Act or something, I can just refuse and go back to Brazil. Dual nationality for the win. I think Doom abuses his diplomatic immunity too. Yeah, this country, this city, don't make me feel good after the accident. Maybe I must go back. I say, shrugging my shoulders, but eyeing him carefully. I don't know. Mr. Carvalho, there are so many legal issues, will be hard to maintain contact in another country. He say a little nervously. But I can resolve this from Brazil, right? I ask innocently. Yeah, but you will have to start again, and is not any lawyer you can trust. He starts rambling reasons. Oh, are you sweating, Mr. Darrow? I understand, there's too the fact that my parents want my education to be here. So, is just an alternative. I say helpfully. Yes. I mean, here you will have great opportunities. You have no idea. This place is dangerous, but truly is full of opportunities, and the reason that I'm hesitant in leaving. Well, he says, recovering his calm and finishing his glass of water. I think that I spoke of everything. No, you not. So I will take my leave, please. Any questions, don't hesitate to ask, he says, giving me his card. Okay, have a good day, sir. Thank you for everything, I say, smiling. Please, is just my job, he says, leaving. After he leaves, my smile turns a bit colder. D4C is still watching him get in the car and start driving. I have to act fast, I can't let others get ahead of me, I mutter. I was going to look it up on the internet, but I remember it's 2004, so I go check the phone book. After a phone call, I start getting ready to leave. I wear my Thor suit under my clothes. I take my documents and copies, in addition to the documents that Attorney Darrow brought, and put them in my backpack. And then I start to walk between the wall and the couch. Using D4C, I go out 2 blocks away between a garbage and the wall of an alley. Looking around and seeing that no one is around, I pull my hood up to cover as much of my face as possible, without looking like a thug, and go after a cab. When I finally get one, I go in and show the paper I had written down at home. To this address, please. I say to the overweight man behind the wheel. All right, kid. In no time he responds before taking off. 40 minutes later I left the cab, giving a good tip to the driver. I enter a very simple place, where there was a sign saying Nelson and Murdoch Attorneys at Law. Disclaimer, I own nothing. This history have no interest in offend any party, having the sole objective of only entertain the readers. Enjoy. For everything that is great and inspiring is created by the individual that can labor in freedom. Albert Einstein. I entered the office that looked a little precarious, but not through negligence of the owners, I can tell, as it is very clean, and certain things like the lamps, chairs, and tables have new and clean appearances. So it's just the general condition of the building. Expected, I would say, knowing who the people I'm visiting are. Foggy Nelson and Matthew Murdoch. Is Foggy a nickname too, like Matt? I couldn't remember for my life his true name now. I noticed the looks of the two. The most notable is the slimmer and fittest with brown hair and sunglasses even indoors, Daredevil himself, the man without fear, but I think he at least isn't being recognized by that name. He is referred to as the Masked Man or Devil of Hell's Kitchen. So he must have started recently, I think. To myself. The other is shorter and fatter, with blonde hair slicked back. He's friendly looking, seems like a nice guy and fun to be around, and he's the first one to greet me when I walk in. But no doubt Murdoch noticed me coming much earlier. Oh, welcome to Nelson and Murdoch, the best law office of this street. How can I help you? He says, standing up to shake my hand. Good evening, I call early. My name is Hector Carvalho, a pleasure. I say, squeezing the hand that was extended, and then purposefully making a faux pas, I reach out to Matt, who was still seated. Matt, hand at 12 o'clock. Shake it, Nelson say, joking. I'm sorry, I should said early, but he is blind, you know, but no less good in what he does, he says, assure me. I'm Franklin Nelson, and this not so handsome man is my associate Matthew Murdoch, he continues as Matt stood up and extended his hand. I know he can feel my hand, but he left some inches a ways, and after it's been explained that he's blind, I'm the one who has to shake his hand. Sorry, I should have noticed, I apologize. No problem, in truth. I'm flattered that you don't notice, he says good-naturedly. After leading me to a chair Foggy sits in. front of me and starts talking. You call early asking if we can handle guardianship, opening of probate proceedings and others. We are not specialized in anything in truth. So why don't you share your trouble, so that us can counsel you with the best of our capabilities? Foggy says much more professionally. How do you even know that there is a trouble? I ask just to light the mood before the heavy talk. Someone only search a lawyer in trouble, sigh. Because of this that people hates us so much. He says a little dramatically, seeing right through my act of make small talk. I chuckle a little before I starts more solemn. Well, my parents died yesterday, in a car accident. Oh, I had guessed from the matter discussed over the phone, but my condolences, Foggy says. Empathetically. No kid should have to go through that, Matt adds, and Foggy looks at me with a complicated look. Okay, he lost his parents early too. The problem is how. You see, my parents are successful doctors, and this accident is very abrupt. Okay, listen to me. I know that every accident is like that, out of the blue, but I really think it was weird. I say, trying to convey my concern and the reason I came here. Foggy shows a surprised face for a moment and speaks. Wait, Carvalho. It is the couple of doctors who were in the newspaper this morning, the ones who fell into the river. Foggy declares after having remembered. So you think there's some foul play going on? Matt asks, leaning forward a little, maybe wants to hear my heartbeat. Now I need to be careful in what to talk. Yes, I know it might sound desperate, but I know my parents. My dad drives as carefully as possible. I always make jokes about how old he looks, and always take care that the car is in the best condition. I say, starting my argument. They were coming so we can celebrate my birthday, goddamit. The two wince a little, because of the tragic situation in an occasion that should have joyous. I press forward. When I went to recognize their bodies, there were no marks that they tried to escape the car. It didn't look like they had a concussion. My father is a great swimmer. He is muscular and over 6 feet tall. There's no way he could have just been knocked out like that. And the two at the same time? The first thing my father would do in an unavoidable accident would be to try to protect my mother, and even she had no signs of trying to escape or fighting for her life. I may be thinking too much, I don't have proof. But I can't shake this feeling that something is strange, I conclude. And before you misunderstand, I'm not here for you to investigate or anything. I say, putting my hand on the universal stop sign for both of them. I want to double check all my inheritance and be emancipated. I complete by saying the real reason for having coming to that office. I want complete control over my money and my life. I don't want to be at the mercy of I don't know who for the next 2 years. Also, if whoever did this to my parents did it for the money, my emancipation will take him out of his comfort zone, and he'll have to act more drastically, step out of the shadows, and when he does, I can fight back. POV, Matt Murdock. I hear him coming, even before the door opens. Ever since that fateful day in what my life take a 180-degree turn, I've had this gift in compensation for what I've lost. And so I know that this is not a normal young man. At first I thought he might be an enemy, an assassin sent by one of the many I've stepped on my toes during my nightly activities. Someone who finally connected my two identities and decided to attack me while I'm at my most vulnerable, and with someone to protect. He moves calculatedly and almost without making a noise. When he entered, he looked around, as if checking something, maybe escape routes or if there was something dangerous in the room. His breathing is trained and heartbeat calm, but the muscles seem coiled to move at any moment. I also notice that his attention is more focused on me than Foggy. It would be hard to notice if I didn't have super senses. But it's strange, such a young person shouldn't act like he's been living dangerously for years. My suspicions continue even when I shake his hand and notice the lack of calluses. He doesn't constantly hold weapons, nor sticks, swords, crowbars. He looks like a paradox. Like someone more trained and experienced had switched bodies with a teenager. It looks like an action movie plot. Seems absurd. But aren't we living in absurd times? People with abilities that look like they're straight out of a comic book are real now, and their appearances are increasingly frequent. I myself can be included in the midst of absurd things. Maybe he's like me. I'll have to watch him carefully. He could be a danger to Foggy. When he sits down, he adjusts his chair so he doesn't have his full back to the door. Another point that he is not normal. His feet were always and completely on the ground, so he could get out of the fragile sitting position at any moment. Can't talk. I'm sitting just the same, as he begins to tell his story. I pay special attention to his breathing, temperature, and heart rate. He's not lying, he never lied, and when he talks about his parents I see the first cracks in the strong face and silence that he puts on. Holding back imperceptible tears, pounding heart, muscles tensing, and then relaxing. He really looks like he's here for legal advice only. Maybe that's because I can relate with his story of losing his parents so soon. It doesn't matter if he has something special or a secret. I think I will do my job as a lawyer and help him as best I can. Hector P.O.V. So you suspect that someone was responsible for your parents' deaths, and that person is close to you. Foggy begins. And you could be next on the list. But not to be eliminated, but controlled, when that someone has you under guardianship. Matt finishes the reasoning. Precisely. I may be overthinking, but I want to be prepared for the possibility. And do you have any suspects in mind? Matt asks. No, I shake my head. If it was really foul play, it's probably a family member on my mother's side. My father is an only child and my paternal grandparents are in Brazil and they are simple people who live on a small farm. My mother's family on the other hand. She has a brother and sister. Inheritance from my grandparent. And she inherited most of it from being my grandpa's favorite and she's always been more disconnected from the rest of the family. I see. Foggy says, going over my papers. The Bellucci family is really well in life. And I think that you mother, and now you, have at least 60% of everything in shares. And I'm not even talking about money and other properties. I believe you were right to look for us. You'd be surprised at the ugly things people could do for a lot less money. Matt says to me while Foggy is still looking at my papers. But let me say a word of warning. Your seeking of independence will derail the plans of whoever is after your wealth. So take care of your own life, it's the most important thing. He says seriously. We will try to seek your emancipation as quickly and quietly as possible. We know a judge who has a soft spot for orphan child, he concludes. Thank you, Mr. Murdoch. Murdoch, now would be a good time to cover up a certain flaw in my actions in coming here. Would you happen to be related to Jack Murdoch? The Battlein Murdoch? I ask. Surprised. I even used E4C to quicken my heart for a moment and make my surprise more genuine. Oh highs. He is my father. Matt responds, too little put off by the sudden shift of conversation. That explains a lot. I thought you looked familiar. You two looked surprisingly fit for someone who was blind. Sorry. My dad was a big fan of Battlein Murdoch. And I watched with him. He loved that your father never gave up. He would take one and give back a stronger one. We always spar a little after watching box. I say excitedly. And it's all true. In this life my father and I watched various types of sports like this. I think my father wanted me to be more active. Or wanted to find a sport I enjoyed as a hobby. Now with the outstanding move I've solved why I seem to be such a good fighter. It fly over my head that Batman's subconscious acts might have gotten me into trouble. And also because I focused more on Matt, he is suspicious. That was my mistake. Seeing a hero and character like that for the first time. My calm facade aside, I was a little nervous and excited in the inside. And I know his senses may have picked up on something. Ah, thanks. It's always good to meet a fan of my dad, he says, smiling a little. After that Foggy stops reading the papers and gives Matt a summary. After a little discussion between the three of us I say goodbye to both of them. After saying goodbye to the lawyer duo, I find myself walking through a mall. There are certain things I plan to buy like a new laptop and smartphone, which I'll know isn't bugged or anything. Yes, I'm paranoid that way. No corrective glasses and some tools. Things I can take in the backpack I brought with me when I bring my papers. Matt and Foggy assured me that they will get my emancipation. Apparently my good school record, tragic history, and other things can move the court decision in my favor. I may need to take a psychological test, or participate in legally mandated psychiatric counseling until age 18. The judge not wanting to let me alone, and wanting to make sure I don't get lost in the wrong way apparently. Understandable. I am a child alone in the world with much money, can be a recipe to disaster. But I can accept, for my independence and freedom. When I get home I will email other documents that they have sent me a list. It will be good to have the consent of my grandparents, the paternal ones, who are the only ones alive. The important thing is that I don't come under any uncle's guardianship. I emphasized that part, implying that I distrust any of them to Foggy and Matt. They understood, and perhaps they will use this distrust to appeal for my emancipation. But as a last resort, I don't want to appear suspicious. Changing the subject, the experience of meeting a hero proved very important to me. Not because I'm a fanboy, although I like Daredevil, but because I realized something I had overlooked. People can read me very easily. In this world, privacy is a distant concept to those who will get involved with the world of superpowers. Telepathy, super senses, X-ray vision, precognition, postcognition. Not to mention technological surveillance. In this world, it's hard to have a secret. I need to be prepared for everything. And information is too valuable to be given so easily to others. One more reason to avoid contact with the world of heroes or villains for now. Daredevil isn't a problem knowing I'm more than I look. He acts alone, so will hard for it to spread. He doesn't have much time to investigate me. And even if he tries to confront me, I can win. He's nice, but not one of the strongest. But this encounter reminded me why I've been so careful. I don't have any kind of plot armor against powers. Some kind of bullshit against mind control. Kilgrave can make me his bitch with one word. And this scares the shit of me. Despite all this potential that I have, is just that, potential. I need to be extra careful until I can handle these threats. It reminds me of JoJo in my past life, even though Jotaro is one of the strongest in the world. One of the best, if not the best, close-range stand in purely physical combat. And one of the most overpowered time-stopping skills. He almost died to a rat in Part 4. In combat, just because you're stronger doesn't mean you're absolutely certain to win. There are many factors. A dangerous game of rock paper scissors, where someone weaker can easily finish you off, because their skill set is your counter. Finally, I finding a deserted place, I use D4C, and I start moving between things until I get home. It could be because I'm not used to it, or because I haven't assimilated Valentine 100% yet, but I can't use D4C teleport for more than a few blocks. I decided to go home using it to practice and increase the percentage. Now is the hardest part of my day. Break the news to my grandparents. I pick up the phone and dial the international number for them. Hello. Who's talking? Grandma. It's me, Hector. I'm Callan. Oh, Hector, my little grandson. How are you? It is fine. Eating properly? So long. Oh, I'm so glad you called. Your grandfather just left, but I can call. Raymondu? Hector is calling? Come fast. I give a low laugh listening to how my grandmother acts. But I grit my teeth and prepare to break the news soon. The longer I take, the harder it will be. Grandma, I have something bad to tell you. In that conversation alone I spoke the words I most hated to speak in my entire life. And I heard my grandmother's happiness turn to ash because of it. It's like I'm suffering. The news all over again. Disclaimer, I own nothing. This history have no interest in offend any party. Having the sole objective of only entertain the readers. Enjoy. Independence isn't doing your own thing, it's doing the right thing on your own. Kim Jong-Pain. After a not so good night's sleep, at least they're getting shorter and shorter, I find myself getting ready for the funeral. In 10 minutes Aunt Chris will pick me up for the ceremony. Being a man, I can get dressed fast. And apparently I know how to tie a tie. I learned it by dreaming. Well, not dreaming, but after waking up I noticed that certain knowledge was floating in the front of my mind as I was thinking about something. Watching Spider-Man fight Green Goblin, I think about how he could have fought better and done it right. Disassembling the laptops I bought yesterday, I think of better ways to assemble them more efficiently and to avoid malfunctions in the future. And now dressing in a suit. I have no problem, even when I've always needed my mom's help. Knowledges of Bruce Wayne and Funny Valentine are coming to me. That worries me. A person is formed by his memories. Will I lose myself and my uniqueness by assimilating different cards? I sigh and try to get my head off the pessimistic thoughts. I didn't gain any memory. And that knowledge was not transplanted. They came during my sleep REM very peacefully. No pain or confusion. I'm grateful for them, actually. It means that I will be able to learn things from the cards. Different fields of science, martial arts, techniques, magic. I won't just gain the ability to do it, I'll learn how to do it too. It reminds me of the earlier Spider-Man and Green Goblin fight I watched. Apparently they've been having encounters like this for a while. And no one knows the identity of the two. It might seem strange to anyone who's only watched Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, but in the comics Green Goblin's identity has long remained a mystery. Even to readers, things here aren't settling down in time for a movie or a comic book. That's good and bad. It makes things more difficult, but I may have more opportunities. I've missed so many opportunities. I couldn't get an Ivan Vanko arc reactor, Hulk blood, or Abomination, a radioactive spider, kill Victor Von Doom. You know, these things. Not to mention the things that might be happening in the shadows that I have no idea. Everything related to the X-Men, in space, SHIELD, and others. TCH. I hate not knowing. After all this thinking, I realize I've just finished with my tie. I'm thinking faster too. Maybe I should write down my changes. No. Bad idea. I shake my head before going to put on my new suit and glasses. Looking at myself in the mirror, even trying to keep my nerd persona, I see that I'm much better than before. Smoother hair, brighter eyes, more upright posture, less pimples on my face. I shaved off all facial hair. I can already be considered a handsome teenager. If before I was 6/10, now I'm 8/10. And if I take my clothes off to show off my new defined muscles, I'm sure I can score an extra point. And this is just the beginning. I will get better. Smarter, stronger, more powerful, and good-looking. I allow myself a smile. I see a message from Aunt Chris saying that she arrived early than expected. But it's okay, I'm ready. I run my hand down my torso, feeling my ultimate Thor suit underneath. Nodding to myself, I leave the house to say goodbye to my parents. Even though I am present at this ceremony, everything seems so far away. There are many more people than I expected, from family members to patients that both of them helped. And that's just the life they've built in New York this past year. I'm glad to hear they were well liked. Well, not enough. I think morbidly, looking at the coffin going down 6 feet underground. A single coffin with their ashes, united even after death. They would like it. As their son, I got special attention, but I have to say I hated being approached by so many people saying things like, I know that is hard, with time everything will be better. No shit. I don't want to be consoled, especially when you say the obvious. I much prefer people who just pat me on the shoulder and speak well of my parents. That they were good people, deserved more. Those pitying looks bother me. And if only they were pity. My mother's brothers and sister are almost looking smug, as if in the end they won some secret competition of who stays alive the longest. Bastards. Aunt Chris stayed by my side the entire time. In fact, it's more that I stayed by her side all the time. Anything to avoid having to blend in with my mother's family. TCH. My maternal grandfather was so cool. How did these guys end up like this? And I won't even talk about my cousins. Of all the people at this funeral, the ones who came to talk to me, 2 of them caught my attention for completely different reasons. The first is my uncle. All my new Batman-like instincts are screaming that this guy can't be trusted, and that not a single word that came out of his mouth was genuine. Uncle Alexander Bellucci, unlike his namesake, the man is a disappointment to all who create the slightest expectation for him. Starting with my late grandfather. You see, my paternal grandfather Thomas Bellucci started with nothing, and slowly walked to success, and at the end of his life he had a network of hospitals and shares in several pharmaceutical and medical companies. Apparently he had a big break during World War II. He was one of the Howling Commandos. That's right, Captain America's squad. I was shocked when I found out too. And when I joined with the memories of this life. He loved to tell what he was like on the battlefield, a small, light-footed guy who ran around saving lives. But he had the strength to carry soldiers twice his size. Myself in this life loved hearing this story. After the war, everyone in the squad was able to retire, with rewards and great connections. Many remained in the army, because they did not know another life. And they were promoted to higher ranks. He predicted that after the nukes, there wouldn't be a major war for a long time. So he decided to save the common people. He was also disappointed in how the war ended. 2 unnecessary massacres, after all that Cap have done to prevent. He died stopping a bomb. To our own government do the same in Japan. He confessed to me one time. The clinic he opened was successful, and he also provided psychiatric care. He was one of the first to see that the body and mind were intertwined. Back then, someone with trauma was seen more as mentally weak. People don't care too much with psychiatric care, even for soldiers. I think seeing The horrors of war made him notice the soldier might leave the war, but the war never leaves the soldier. Well, my grandpa is a great guy. He had 4 children, the oldest and the man I is talking right now is Alexander Bellucci. And as I said, a disappointment. He's not smart, doesn't look good, and doesn't have any business talent. That wouldn't be a problem if he didn't act like he had everything I said. The man is arrogant, misogynistic, ugly, xenophobic, and keeps making subtle little comments that offend people. He never got along with my father. My dad almost punched him once, when he mentioned something about wasting time helping kids in the tribes in the Amazon. My mother, after realized that my uncle was going to lose some teeth, she placate the situation before it happened. My mom wanted everyone to get along, but sometimes that just isn't possible. And why dear Uncle Alexander is a disappointment? Well, if you compare it to my mother and the other brother and sister, he never stood out. He needed help getting into college. Problems with alcohol, drugs, bad grades, minor criminal misdemeanors like drunk driving and almost killing a guy. A lot of times he got away with it just because he had a rich dad. But dear Uncle Alexander's biggest disappointment was during an argument with my grandfather. My grandfather gave him an ultimatum to get his life straight. He got mad. He said he never wanted anything to do with my family again, that he didn't need my grandfather. So to prove the point he used all of his savings from his allowance. That it had all been my grandfather's gain. But he conveniently forgot and decided to enter the real estate market. In the real estate market. LOL. In the USA. LOL. In my life, the real estate crisis happened a little later. But in this world, it happened much sooner. LOL. Right around the time he decided to invest. LOL. Ha ha ha. Need to say he came back with his tail between his legs to my grandfather? My grandfather took him back, gave him a position to manage one of the sectors in one of the hospitals. For him to go up from there. Well, he hasn't climbed the professional ladder much for all these years. Probably because of all that weight he has. So this guy came to talk to me. Give me his condolences. He gave a speech about how shocked he was by the news and that the world won't be the same without my parents. I almost threw the punch. My dad owed him all these years. But what left me on edge was his talk about me being able to move in with him if I needed to. That he would support me in this difficult time. He just became my first suspect in the involvement of my parents' death. And I feel like I'm right about that. I almost agreed to move in with him. This guy can't hurt me, that's the truth. And he thinks I'm a stupid kid. I can infiltrate and find out everything about him or kill him at any time. A push from D4C down the stairs. Or any other kind of accidental death. I can teleport with D4C and have an alibi on the other side of town. But that thought disappears almost instantly. Being under his care would put me under constant surveillance, preventing my growth. The second person who caught my eye was a big surprise for me. Dr. Donald Blake came to my parents' funeral. Donald Blake. It's Thor. Thor's origin as a human is different in the comics when compared to his movie. To teach him humility, Odin trapped Thor in a vessel with a human identity. A surgeon with a crippled leg, Donald Blake. And even made Thor lose his memories. Only after a long time, when Thor began to have more compassion and to think more before acting rashly, did he implant a compulsion for Donald Blake to go to Norway to find Mjolnir and become Thor. By the way, I remember there was a saga in the comics where Donald Blake's alter ego goes crazy and going in a killing spree. It even absorbs the Odin force. Even so, he didn't regain his full memory for a long time. I didn't know that my parents knew Thor, but I'm not that surprised. Donald Blake is a surgeon in New York. It's not that hard for him to meet my parents when he works in one of my grandfather's hospitals. The man in front of me is the Norse god of thunder, and he may have already regained his identity as Thor. Heck. Is this Cain the Mjolnir disguised? He came over to give me his condolences and say to me be strong, because that's what my parents would want me to do. Very Viking I would say, but maybe is only my bias. Aunt Chris decides to have a little chat with Dr. Blake. And a little part of the conversation take my interest. Donald, where is Jane? Are you still together? She asks. We are together and strong, Christine. Jane is in New Mexico researching some space anomaly. Astrophysicists always have to move around the globe to get a better look at the stars, you know, he answers smiling. So it's a mix of the MCU, or maybe just an adaptation for these modern times. Both Jane Foster and Christine Palmer were nurses in the comics. At that time it was less common for women to have professions such as doctors and astrophysicists. Today it is normal. I really am at the beginning of the storm that will be this world. I wonder when and what will be the first large-scale invasion of the planet. Loki? Kree? Skrull? Galactus? Thanos? Dr. Donald Blake leaves a little later and I'm still not sure if he's Thor or not. Many have already said goodbye too, leaving only me and Aunt Chris. Do you want a ride to home? She asks me. No, I think that I'm gonna stay for a while. Give my proper goodbyes. I reply. She nods her head and doesn't try to convince me anymore. After she leaves, it's just me in the cemetery. Me and the tombstone with my parents' name. I look a little at the sky. I see it's cloudy. It's just a misty morning of January. No rain, huh? I was expecting some cliques for the weather. I sigh and kneel in front of the tombstone and just let myself bathe in the moment. In the silence, I let the thought that my parents are really dead sink in my mind. I start off not too well. I was never the most religious, you know? I've always been skeptical, cynical. I think it was because it made me look smarter, like an internet atheist. I chuckle a little. But now I know there's something out there. There are gods in this world. One just came out of your funeral. But I don't think you're going to Valhalla. You guys are cool and all, but not cool Vikings. Haha. And here I go again. I always do it to light of the situation, making jokes when things get too serious. But I need to be serious now. I need to be serious from now on. I am your son. I am your son for 2 lives. It's weird, I was transmigrated. I have repeated memories, new ones. I feel that the me of my past life has a little more precedence when compared to the me of this life. Maybe it's because he's further along in time, or because this world is fictional for my other one. But I mean, not for a second did I stop thinking of myself as your son, in this life or the old one. That's why it hurts so much to know that I lost you guys. I finally cry a little now that I'm alone. Without you I'm going to have to decide what kind of person I'm going to be from now on. I don't think I belong in the heroic business. But I also don't consider myself a villain. I've thought a lot, and I still don't have a concrete answer. But I think I know where to start. Like it or not, you guys created a good person. You two are a good people. From an outsider's perspective, it may seem naive or idiotic. But I think I want to help people, you know. At least try. My priority will be my life always. But I think I should try to repay my luck to the world. The two of you are really rare people, who did not deserve to have died so soon. I want to create a world where good deeds are appropriately rewarded. I think there's a line from Batman like this: sometimes people deserve to have their fate rewarded. I won't have the crippling hero complex like Spider-Man. But I will start helping people more. Be more active. In hindsight, maybe because of the assimilation of Valentine and Batman, I see that I was very passive. Afraid of making mistakes, of failing. I will try to let it go. Failure can be a great teacher, Master Yoda says. Or great teacher. Failure is more accurately. I again joke a little. I will try to change the world for the better. And if I fail, well, they who lose. I will take spaceship and visit the rest of the universe. I thought I could just ignore everything, you know? Move to Brazil. Staying there for a few years growing in power with Gacha. And then come back kicking ass. But that would be an easy way out. And you, Dad, taught me that sometimes the easy way out isn't worth it. I feel like I would lose if I decided to escape. That I will regret for the rest of my life. I will fight and start my fight by bringing justice to whatever did this to you too. My justice I complete darkly see. I'm not hero material. Well, that's it. I say, standing up after a minute or two. I don't know if I'll be here constantly. I don't know if you're watching me from somewhere, or if you two can't, or if you've already reincarnated. Haha. Perhaps you two were ice-guide in some other world as well. One married couple in a fantasy world. That time a doctor couple was reincarnated in another world. Ha 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 ha, would make a good title. I would read your story. But I don't think Mom would let you make a harem, Dad. I'm going now. I'll try my best. I love you guys. I say goodbye. I should have said these things while I could. Teenagers should value their parents while they have them. You're going to Brazil, Mordekaiser? Probably. Today is my 4th day since I was transmigrated into this world. And now I'm finishing packing for my parents' 2nd funeral, which will happen in my paternal grandparents' hometown. The flight is at 2 p.m., and I have already called Aunt Chris, Matt, and Foggy to let them know that I will be spending a few days in Brazil. And when I get back, I will contact them. I would usually have everything ready and at the airport, but a little inconvenience happened last night. eubnovel.com. My house was invaded by people wanting to kill me. Flashback. Third POV. The night before, a 98 Chevette stopped on the street of the Carvalho residence, with 3 adult men inside. It's that house with 3 floors, painted white, said the one who was driving. Now you two go in there and do one of 2 things. Either you kill the kid quietly and make it look like a suicide, the kid's parents just died, nobody's going to think it's weird he didn't want to live anymore. He has no close friends or family. Continued the man behind the wheel. He handed a small box to the other man in the passenger seat. In there is a syringe, it will cock out the kid. After that you take him to the bathroom and finish the work. After that he presented the other option. Or do you make it look like it was a robbery gone wrong? If he wakes up, kill him, steal something, mess up the house a little and come back. Capis. Okay, but what's wrong with our unlucky companion? You are well prepared. Who wants him dead that much? Asks the one who was sitting in the back while checking some tools. All I know is he's got a big inheritance there. And if he disappears, one of the chief's associates will be very rich. And so the boss will have a finger in several hospitals across the country. Now go, it must be easy, the kid lives alone now. And I have information that there is a door in the back, no dogs. Bedroom on the 2nd floor. Go. The one who is apparently the leader ended up shooing the other 2 away. He had information that showed someone close to the family was helping them. After putting on ski masks, the 2 criminals got out of the car and started moving towards the house. Arriving in the backyard after jumping over the neighboring yard wall, they found the door. One of the 2 pulled out some tools and started working on the lock, while the other kept watch. They weren't the common low-life thugs apparently. After a few minutes of effort the door opened. From here on would be a piece of cake, they thought. All they would have to do is go to the 2nd floor room, inject the kid with the syringe, take him to the bathroom and slit his wrists. If all went well in 10 minutes they would be far away. What they didn't count on was that they weren't going to kill a normal young man. They were breaking into the house of someone very paranoid and cautious. So paranoid that he was sleeping in a different room on the ground floor. A room right in the corner and forgotten. So paranoid he slept on the floor. Without a pillow or blanket. His whole body and ear plugged into the floor. And when the 2 entered, he woke up immediately due to the vibrations of the footsteps. And he was already watching them through the eyes of a ghostly figure. He slept in a suit that made him invulnerable to common weapons. These thugs had 0 chance at all from the start. Finally a clue. The young man thought as his eyes got harder watching the 2 invaders. Bandit 2 POV. Reaching the 2nd floor I signal Jimmy to look at the rooms on the left while I looks at the ones on the right. After he nods, I proceed to look for the unlucky brat. The first bedroom has nothing, it appears to be an office. After going back to the hallway I'm waiting for Jimmy to return from the first room he entered, to see if he's had better luck. But he still hasn't returned. After a full minute I get impatient. Is this idiot stuffing his pockets with some jewelry? I decide to go follow this idiot to remember him to keep his head in the game. But when I enter the room, I realize that it is completely empty. It appears to be a couple room. A big bed. Wardrobe covering an entire wall. Photos at the head of the bed. But no sign of Jimmy. I saw him entering this room. The door was still open. I was going to take care of you first. You looked like the one giving orders. But then he walked into this room, and I couldn't let him contaminate anything with his dirty hands. I hear a voice that sends goosebumps all over my body. Going to pull the gun while I scream. Who's there? I couldn't pull the gun from my waist because something grabbed my elbow, and I got punched in the throat from an impossible place, where previously there was no one. I fall rolling on the floor, trying to get away from whoever is in the dark attacking me. I already checked with the other guy. You don't have any communication devices in your ear. I was worried about alerting you. That's why I caught him in one move. The voice speaks again. But I don't see anyone. But I don't want you screaming. It will wake up the neighbors. And I can't speak. It's hard to breathe. Feeling my waist, I see that I already have no weapon, and nothing else in my pockets. How? As I start to get up, my knee is bent in an awkward position. But before I scream, some rag is stuffed into my mouth and I'm finally face to face with this monster. Black A figure dressed all in black, covering the entire body. A tight suit, so I can see it's a man, but it's impossible to recognize anything else. Are there any more of you? Hey, don't look at me like that. You don't have to talk to answer. Nod your head yes or no. The figure continues with a hoarse voice, while holding me by the hair. I can't make my body stop shaking. The figure starts to look to the side, as if trying to notice something in the distance. I think it's my chance and I'm going to try to punch him in the face, and try to throw him to the ground. I am bigger, I can overwhelm him in strength. Make this a dirt fight. Before my fist touches the bastard's face, his hand connects with the inside of my elbow, then he uses his own elbow to pull my arm away and grab my shoulder and the back of my neck. He pulls my head and headbutts me in the nose. TCH reflex hey, don't go dirtying the carpet, he says taking the cloth to my bleeding nose. I just realized there's a suspicious car parked at the end of the street. Do you know what that means? He asks me ominously. It means you missed the chance to be useful and answer my questions. By the time my dizzy mind finally grasps the danger of his words, I'm already starting to fall unconscious. The unlucky ones are us. Hector POV. This unstable molecule fabric costume I bought at CYOA from Marvel is very useful. Very breathable. It does not impede movements. It's like the Fantastic Four suits. Only 50 CP. I bought it to be the base of my future costume. For now, there's nothing to highlight. Just the full body suit. Like Black Noir in the comics of the boys. These guys didn't stand a chance. After taking all the dem belongings, gag and tie them, I turn my attention to the car on the street. Sending D4C out the window, I can see there's a suspicious guy behind the wheel. D4C's vision is very good, even from so far away. He must be these guys' escape driver. After putting Bandit leader with Bandit useless together, I grab a blanket and throw it over the three of us. Soon after, I'm already sitting in the back seat of the car on the street, with the other two thugs strapped to my side. The car thug still hasn't noticed my arrival. D4C is so up. Using the gun that I just take from Bandit leader, I point it at the bandit car's neck and say in my Batman voice, "Don't move." He instantly stiffens. Answer: "Why are you targeting the boy?" Yikes! I don't give him a chance to continue replying and I close his mouth from behind. Meanwhile D4C is looking all over the car for hidden weapons. "You only do and talk what I want," I say, almost breaking his jaw. Now I will repeat, "Why did you try to attack the boy?" I ask again and then slowly withdraw my hand, but I'm squeezing the gun to his neck. I don't seem to have the disdain for weapons like Batman does. Good. Calm down, man, we were just going to rob the house. It looked like rich people live there. I grab his nose and twist, breaking easily. Lie again, and I will move to you fingers. I didn't break his hand because I have a plan in mind, and he's going to need his hand. They had a syringe, to probably knock me out. This was all designed to kidnap or kill me. Okay. The boss wanted the boy erased discreetly, because of an inheritance or whatever, he says quickly, not wanting to test how far he would go with threats. And who is your boss? It's the Kingpin, dude. And if you know what's good for you, it's best not to get involved. Just let us get the job done before your whole family. I grab his ear and yank it off. I told you just say what I want you to say, I say coldly as he tries to stop the bleeding. Kingpin, huh? Someone in my family has a connection to the criminal world. What else do you know? Who knows, maybe it'll put me in a good mood enough not to rip your dick off. Okay, please no more. The boss said to take care of the kid and make it look like suicide or robbery. And someone connected to the boss could have the inheritance, so the boss would have control over the hospitals, he says quickly. Makes sense. The Kingpin has control over the police, firefighters, politicians. Hospitals would be a good place to have influence to kill people discreetly, or prevent certain people from surviving. Okay, I believe in you, I say and feel the relief taking over his body. Now drive until I tell you to stop. I end up pressing the barrel of the gun to the back of his neck. He swallows hard and starts driving scared. After following my instructions of left or right for a while, I'm finally where I want to be. As one of the abandoned parts of the city, it wouldn't be strange for this place to be used for drug dealings. I noticed you guys have some fun toys in your trunk, I say, signaling with my head to the machine guns floating in front of the car. He cannot see, but D4C is holding both weapons. Oh God, you are one of them. A freak, he says, now more scared than ever. He must be mistaking me for a mutant. Before he can do anything else, I hit him over the head with the butt of the gun, leaving him unconscious, and to be sure I repeat the action with the other two. Then I remove all the bindings and gags. I return the belongings. I fix them in the car and leave. That would be the moment I would leave and be the end of the night. Batman don't kill. I never killed before. Well, there is a first time to everything. And I'm no Batman. D4C handed one of the machine guns to me, and we started shooting, first 3 very accurate shots to each head to kill them. There's no need to them to suffer. And then I shoot all over the car, even at the gas tank, making an explosion, eliminating the 3 of them. Batman doesn't use weapons. In truth, he is disgusted by them. Glad to know I don't get harmful stuff from cards. I can do what I want, without the morals of the characters that I assimilate affecting me. Good to know. Now I have a lead, and the deaths of these 3 cannot be connected to me by the authorities or anyone. Walking close to a wall and a pillar, I return home. I can go further and further. I just killed 3 people. A part of me is shocked and terrified. But that part of me needs to shut the fuck up, that I can't leave weaknesses in this world. 4 a.m., let's try to get some sleep. End flash avk. And that's why I woke up later than I planned. I shouldn't be so tired. Looks like it was more mental fatigue. It was my first conflict. It was easy, but it took me a while to fall asleep because of the adrenaline. I managed to remain calm the entire time, but inside I was nervous. Now I'm deciding whether or not I can take the Thor suit to the Brazil. This won't go through the airport. Do I need to leave it right here? It's okay not to use it. I'm pretty hard to kill with my regeneration. But I don't want to let it go. When I'm away, even hiding it, I won't feel safe. As I think about this, certain information comes to mind. Items summoned through the gacha always work no matter what universe you are in, and can never be used against you in any way. These items are always in perfect condition and will not degrade in any way. They can only be used by you, and by those who have direct permission from you. These items are summonable and will appear by your side no matter what. Items that require things such as energy source or ammunition will have an infinite amounts of them, however you can't siphon or use them for any other way. Neat. I had forgotten this because items can't be made into cards. Again. But this is more of an inconvenience with people summoned. Objects can be brought into my hand. It means I can summon it to my hand at any time. And I can stop others from using it. And I feel like I can do it in different ways, Mjolnir-like, or making the person feel pain, or even making the item intangible and untouchable. I head to the house safe, hidden under my parents' bed. And I put the suit there. I close and walk away, and I try to call the suit. It appears in my hand. No sound or beam of light, it just appears. After locking it in the safe again, I'm going to get ready to leave the house. I take my bags, which consists of just 3. One with my clothes, other with my laptop and stuff like that, and the other with a urn with half of my parents' ashes. With that, I confirm that everything is okay with the house. All doors locked. The lock the bandits broke last night is still in perfect condition. What kind and considerate people, taking care of the property of others like this. R.I.P. Now I can go to the airport. Goodbye, New York. For a while. Hector Bellucci de Carvalho race, human character assimilation fully assimilated, none in progress, funny Valentine. 25% Batman, 29% summoned characters, none powers, source of all living matter, dirt D's done dirt cheap, stand, equipped items, none, but I wondered, how would I feel about killing someone? Now I know. It's no big deal. Chris Kyle, the American sniper. Unknown location. In an office, 2 men are seated at a table, facing each other, with several papers between them. Just one look is enough to notice the power dynamic between the two. One is obviously the subordinate of the other. Is that all, Wesley? I have matters to attend to, says the man who is obviously in charge. Both his posture, physical appearance, and the air around this man screams that he is dangerous, and used to giving orders. He is a bald and apparently a fat white male, sitting in a luxurious chair. But if look more closely, a person can notice that underneath his expensive suit he is a mountain of muscle, and he is much taller than he appears at first glance. One last thing, sir. The other replies, he is also in a suit, is thin and wears glasses with his hair combed perfectly. If the other person who appears to be the boss is a businessman, this is obviously his secretary or lawyer, judging by appearance alone. But the two are much more than that. Go ahead, growls the behemoth of a man. He doesn't like to waste time. And he has plans with a beautiful lady later. A lady he's had his eyes on for a long time. Nothing can go wrong. And being late is a faux pas he doesn't want to make. Tom, Eddie, and Jimmy are found dead this morning. The ones that are sent to deal with the orphan boy last night. Car in flames, dozens and dozens of bullet holes. He is interrupted when his boss slams his hand on the table as he stands up. It is a testament to the mental fortitude of the man called Wesley that he does not flinch. Just stop talking and patiently wait for his boss to speak. Who? The bald man practically growls through his teeth. Something to do with the orphan boy, he asks. I don't think so, sir. Wesley responds as he removes his glasses to clean with a tissue. The three were found several kilometers away from where they were supposed to be to complete their task. If I had to guess, by the modus operandi, I would say that they were punished. Wesley complete. First that masked man and that spider, now this Punisher. How many of these annoying vigilantes are gonna to be a thorn on my side? The boss says, full of frustration and anger. It's time to lift our game. Let's go ahead with that project with Alexei and MacGargan. I give my okay, he adds. Wesley just nods. What about orphan boy, sir? He asks after a pause. Forget about the boy for now, he's not going anywhere. We have bigger problems with these vigilantes. They are costing me a lot of money. Alexander should have had better control over a teenager. Text him, we've already helped you deal with the couple. If you can't deal with a child, what use are you to us? The boss ends ominously. It will be done, sir. Wesley confirms before standing up. And with a final nod he leaves the office. Wilson Fisk sits back in his chair and allows himself a deep breath. He cannot show weakness to anyone, not even his most trusted man James Wesley. But everything has gone wrong for him lately. He sometimes just wants to explode and kill someone. But he remembers that he can forget about these problems for a while at dinner with his lady Vanessa today. She is his safe haven in these turbulent times. With much happier thoughts, Wilson Fisk, the kingpin, retires from his office for the pleasant evening that awaits him. Hector POV. I still have 4 hours of flight to go, is my thought as I sit in my comfortable seat in first class. Before it wouldn't be a problem, I could just sleep. But now I'm more hyperactive, with more energy to expend. And boredom is killing me. Even assimilating much more calm and experienced characters, I'm still a teenager apparently. Could I score one of the flight attendant? There's a blondie who's been giving me looks for a while. Or is it because I'm in first class, and I'm just a customer? Well, my gut says I have a chance with a little effort. But actually, I'm still a virgin. And losing my virginity in a plain toilet is not how I plan of being my first time. And also I'm very young, this will give most adult women a pause. Too many things to lose. Well then, let's do some research. I've already tried to take a nap, and in 30 minutes I've woken up fully refreshed, so I won't be able to spend time sleeping anymore. Opening my new laptop, I start to update myself with figures of interest in this world. It's okay to do this on this laptop because I haven't registered any accounts with it. Even if someone hacks or steals it, it's impossible to connect it with me. Let's start by seeing who Wilson Fisk is to the world. Doing a search for Fisk, I find the English and Spanish school in Brazil. But with a little more scrutiny I find the man I'm looking for. He is a philanthropist with shares in several transportation companies. So this is the cover for his criminal empire. There's very little about the man. He doesn't draw attention, even though he's a giant. I've only found a few photos at charity events, and since he doesn't have a company of his own, it's impossible to locate his headquarters. Even though I know he must be in New York. TSC. As expected, nothing useful. But I have to pass the time, and nothing better than researching my new enemy. Not that he knows it. I killed those 3 by making it look like the Punisher, just to not connect with me. I intend to stay in Brazil for a few days until I can assimilate Miles. I want that spider sense to avoid having my house blown up with me inside. But actually I'm relieved, now I have a clear enemy. And I know he's not that menacing when compared to others in Marvel. As I am now, I can destroy the Kingpin. After that I started looking up the status of the world of heroes, to see if I missed something. Dr. Octopus made his debut? Apparently it didn't follow the movie. Otto Octavius was an Oscorp employee who kidnapped Norman Osborn to take funds to do his own project. Spider-Man stopped Otto, saved Norman. He saved the Green Goblin. Norman probably hid his own strength during all that ordeal. Or maybe is that double personality thing. Henry Pym? This is a dangerous man for several reasons. TCH. He is young. Should I kill him? Calm down, Hector. Is not a healthy solution to your problems going killing everyone that have done something bad in the comics. You ended up starring the comic Hector Kill the Marvel Universe. After concentrating on the task of studying the world I am in, and not confusing it with my old one, time starts to go by fast. I never had that level of concentration. I research about countries that exist here, different historical events. Does a mutant kills President Kennedy? This explains some of the hatred, along with the obvious propaganda against mutant kind. And no public appearance of the X-Men, Charles Xavier, erasing everyone's memory when anyone sees them? If I am any other person will be part of a group. Resources, connections, and others. But as a comic reader I know the problems of these group of heroes. From time to time, heroes are fighting more heroes than villains. World War Hulk, Civil War, Avenger vs X-Men and many others. It's so much conflict, politics, asshole people. Ugh, I have the Gacha. I'm not like any other person. I can have my loyals companions and subordinates. Because of this I decide to build my own group. Will be much better, with blackjack and hookers. Now I'm getting off my plane at Salvador Airport. I'll stay at a nearby hotel where I've already booked a room, and in the morning I'll take a bus that will take me to my father's hometown and my grandparents' farm. They wanted to pick me up at the airport, but I refused. Too much effort for them to come, only to going right back. Next day, AAA Brazil. I feel more comfortable and relaxed here. Land of the Gambira, caramel dog, corruption, the Brazilian way and internet trolls brr. If the reason for my visit was happier, I would be smiling right now. Looking at the landscape through the bus window, I keep thinking that everything is really far here. I'm going inland and you can see miles and miles of pastures and crops, and some separate communities. My grandparents' farm is in the countryside of Bahia, and I know I said before that my grandparents are simple people, but their little farm is many times bigger than Manhattan. And it's not even that big compared to the really rich farmers. There are families that have lands that can extend even beyond state borders. Brazil has plenty of land. My grandparents may not live in super luxury, but they have money in the form of land and livestock. And my father helped to annex more land, that's why it's so big. And I'm the one who will inherit everything now too. I see now that I am well off. I'm not a billionaire, but I can live my life peacefully if I want to. But I know it's not enough. I will use the money. My parents left me to earn much more. If Lex Luthor can, I can too. I always found bullshit in those fanfics, the MCS that create a multi-billion-dollar company in months. I already planned. Even with my funds, it will take years for me to establish myself, if all goes without a hitch. And I know there will be obstacles in the form of people. Besides, who the fuck starts presenting technology that surpasses anything seen in the world out of nowhere like that? Why not write a sign on the back, kidnap my relatives? Dumbass, I will be careful. I know it's inevitable to make enemies. But a wise man, despite not avoiding making enemies, does not go looking for them. I finally arrive at the bus station where I get off. My grandfather is waiting for me. My grandfather has a lot of similarities with my father, tall, brown skin, very fit to his age and a smile splitting his face. He's wearing a very cowboy outfit, hat, boots, striped shirt, belt with a buckle bigger than my wrist. Typical. Oh my son, look at you. So big and strong. He's the first to speak, rushing over to give me a hug. Here, physical contact is much more common. Then he was inspecting me, probably to see if I'm missing any limbs. Typical grandfather thing. Grandpa, I've missed you. I just wanted that would be under better circumstances. I resolve to address the issue soon, so we can get over it soon. Freeobnovel.com. His face shows a sad expression instantly. I know, but you're in good health. It's all that I care now, he says. Then he notices the big suitcase in my hand. Is this, he says, choking a little. Yes. Half of my mother and father ashes, I say, and notice he's almost crying. But my grandfather is a man from a much more different and difficult time. He thinks a man could not show emotions, which would be synonymous of weakness. He turns around quickly with his hand on his face and starts walking away. I see, let's go. Your grandma is waiting. The car is in that direction, he says without looking back. I sigh. Everyone deals with grief differently. My father is the only surviving child of the two. There were 4 others, but they didn't survive childhood, due to various complications. It's quite unusual. My childhood friends had a lot of uncles. It is normal for a couple to have between 12 and 18 children at that time in Brazil. The walk to the car continues in silence, but after getting into my grandfather's Ford F-150 SVT Raptor, the mood improves a little. I think my grandfather just wanted to regain his composure. He starts asking me all sorts of things you'd expect a senior in your family to ask. What am I doing? My friends, girlfriends, after crossing the small town that is the birthplace of this part of my family. Not much to see. We started to cross fields and fields of green. On my grandfather's farm I noticed the large number of cattle. Nelore is the breed, I think. The whites are more predominant in Brazil. After another 30 minutes of travel, with Naomi asking questions about the farms, I saw a huge lake, which my grandfather said is used for fishing as a hobby, and he promised to take me there afterwards. This farm is big. It even has a river that cuts through it and supply the reservoirs of water, hills and a forest. Apparently large landowners have to set aside 20% of their property to keep the forest untouched by humans. It's a good thing, I think. And my grandfather agrees. He is not the greedy type, who wants as much profit as possible. He even opens this part up for visitors to trail. There's a waterfall with an underground grotto somewhere in the back, he said. There's even a fossil of a giant sloth in the background. There, the place is protected by the authorities. Nice. I have to look later. We finally arrived at my grandparents' house. The roar of the truck's engine must have alerted my grandmother, because she came out to greet us on the porch. And once again she is the one who takes the initiative. Oh my baby. She cooed, look at you, so handsome. Are you eating enough? You look skinny. I will take care of you these days. Put some meat in these bones. Oh, you look much like you, father. You must be a philanderer. Or do you already have some nice lady in your heart? If not, I can show you some good gals. The daughter of Esther is a real beauty. And she goes on and on, without letting me go even for a moment. My grandma is a small thing with a head full of white hair, brown skin, crow feet in her eyes, and smiling mark around her mouth. Now that my grandfather has taken off his hat, I can see that his hairline is thinning out a lot too, and it's all white, but he looks younger than my grandmother, even though he's the oldest. Man, aging like fine wine. All right, Maria, let the kid breath. You haven't let him say one word until now. You notice, my grandfather comes to my rescue. Silence, Raimundo. I have so much to catch up with. Ito. Ito is my nickname. Only people that know me from childhood call me that. And it's sad to think that the number is very small now. After that I hand over the suitcase with my parents' urn. Then my grandmother breaks down crying. TCH. It's so hard. I had handled it so well until now, but seeing your grandmother crying so much, there's no one to hold back. Hugging my grandmother tight and consoling her, I can't help but cry my eyes out. Sometimes we must lose ourselves to find ourselves. In my past life I was never a very religious guy, but since I ended up in this new world I have to rethink my concepts. Gods exist here, beings who can decide my fate without my consent, either because they have the authority to do it, or simply because they are insanely powerful. That's why I feel a little uncomfortable in this church. I don't remember how Marvel treats Christianity or Catholicism. I know there are a lot of demons who call themselves Lucifer, but I don't remember if there's a heaven or Almighty God Yahweh that I don't even know about, like in DC with the presence. I know of the one above all, but I don't know if he has representation in that religion. Or if the God of Bible here is like Odin. I know that exists a Greek pantheon, and Bast from Wakanda, and many others. TCH. It's uncomfortable not to know. I'm so behind that is not even funny. But let's focus on the ceremony. As expected, a priest is preaching at my parents' funeral. Then we will have the procession for the burial. And in 7 days we will have the Seventh-day Catholic Mass, which consists in directing the soul of the deceased to God. 7 days I think is for the soul to solve any unfinished business or regrets on this plane. So I'll be here for a while. No problem, my classes return in 2 weeks. Staying here will be good for my mind and body. I realized before by looking at the large land that my grandparents have. I can use it for training. I'll be able to test my abilities without worrying about being watched like I would in New York. I will start tomorrow. For today I will focus on my family. Both the one that left and the one here on land. It was very different from the burial in New York. First, the tradition is different. And second, having my grandparents, people who are really devastated by the loss of my parents, makes it all the more emotional. I know few people here, but a lot of people came to talk to me, give their condolences, talk about my father's childhood, who had seen me when I was just a baby. And I really feel like they're being genuinely nice and kind. Restores my faith in humanity. In this small community there is rarely an asshole. The cynical part of my mind just argues that this is normal. In such a controlled social group, if someone gets a tarnished reputation, their life is much more complicated. But I just want to believe that there are people who are good just for being good. If I get to be this cynical, I'll become Lex Luthor. Many people confuse cynicism, intelligence, and goodness, naivete or foolish. In that regard, I prefer to be more like Superman. He's not a blind idiot who ignores what suits him. He knows very well that people have great potential for evil. He can hear them, goddammit. He can listen to people suffering and doing atrocities better than anyone. But he believes these same people have infinite potential for good. Maybe because I'm in a similar place to Kent Farm, my thoughts are growing a little more optimistic. That is good. I like it. You always think the worst of people. It gives you an edge, but it also blinds you to the possibility of trusting anyone. Superman to Batman, justice doesn't always have to come from the darkness. It's something Batman himself realizes after Superman's death. Am I gaining Batman memories? Subtly at least. Memories make us who we are, then I will become more like the characters that I assimilated. Well, as long as my body and mind isn't taken by anyone, no big problem. People change over time. And I'm still in control without being swayed. It's like watching a movie. You can learn and you can apply what you have learned to your life. But I'm not becoming a puppet to these thoughts. The proof is that my way of thinking is much more Superman-like than Batman-like, and I'm assimilating Batman. But I'm Hector. I had a good life. Relatively wealthy, parents who love me. I have zero reason to be an edgy teenager who broods over everything or to become a villain. I'll deal with the Kingpin. It won't be pretty. But I'm not of the night, the vengeance, the Batman. I'm Hector. I'll do things my way, because any way I do it will be Hector-like. And I will make all these powers, experiences, and knowledge my own for real. Simple like that. After my little epiphany, the ceremony went off without a hitch. We're back at my grandparents' house. My grandmother went to rest. She is mentally exhausted. My grandfather and I talked for a while, before he left too. It's still 5 p.m. I'm not tired. So I think I'll take a look at Gacha, plan what I'm going to train during my stay in Brazil. I want the screens to appear in front of me. 1/4 Gacha points. 16 2/4 Hector Bellucci de Carvalho race. Human character assimilation fully assimilated. None in progress. Funny Valentine. 28% Batman. 33% summoned characters. None powers. Source of all living matter. Dirty. D's done dirt cheap. Stand. Equipped items, none others. Chakra books, unstable molecule suit, EDI biomech suit V2.034 non-used cards, characters Shago, Kim Possible, Flurkin Loki, Earth 199999/MCU, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Earth 1610, items, Sword of Actuation, Berserk, Batch of Heart-Shaped Herb Zeta Flight Space Station, Earth 25271, Neutralizer Gun Powers and Abilities Made in Heaven Stand, JJBASO, Consumable Shonen Setting Travel Ticket, Low Tier /1 month, Power Boost Card Background Customization Card X0544 CO Options, CO Points, 450 Simplified Marvel CO. I feel like I'm stagnant in assimilating the characters. I've been in this world for 6 days, and I've only completed a third of the 2. Normally I wouldn't have a problem. But on February 1st I will be running Gacha again. That's right, despite the fact that I came to this world on the 21st, the possibility to deposit 100 Gacha reset points on the first day of each month. And coincidentally, I would have accumulated 30 Gacha points that day. When I arrived in this world, I had 1 GP that comes daily. I spent $100 to buy another 100 GP. With 101 GP, I bought a general roll of 10 that spent 30 GP and a roll of the setting, Marvel, that spent 60 GP. In total I spent 90 GP, leaving 11 GP. Why didn't I roll it 3 more times? It's 3 GP per roll, right? When you roll a group of 10, it's sure to come with something with the tier beyond my level. In this case, it was Miles Morales and the Made in Heaven stand last time. That's why it's best to roll in a group of 10. In the description of the essence, talk about tiers. But I'm not using tiers. It's too hard to classify all the fictional omniverse like that. Because of this I am letting very ambiguous. On February 1st I will have accumulated at least 20 GP, and I will be able to buy 100 GP again, giving me the number of 120 GP. I'll roll everything in general this time. I will win the incredible number of 40 cards. There are 2 reasons why I don't roll into the setting again. Firstly, I can get things of here if I put in the effort, besides it's expensive. And secondly, I want as many cards as possible at the moment. I want to get to know Gacha better. I'll be happy even if consumables come. I didn't know I could earn CYOAs, or tickets to visit another world. And Marvel's power level fluctuates a lot. I can win from J. Jonah Jameson to the Beyonder. It's not much different from the general Gacha that spans all fictional worlds. In 6 days I will have more cards. I need to assimilate the 2 I have now as quickly as possible. It will be my priority. Then I'll assimilate Miles, and think about whether to take a slot with Loki. Maybe it's better to wait and see what will come in the next Gacha. Focusing on other things, I will finally have the chance to test my Titan form and regeneration more deeply. Here in Brazil I have more space and more time. I'll try to cut off a finger or an arm tomorrow, and turn myself into a small Titan. I don't know how well I can handle it. I have to be prepared for the possibility of being seen. Maybe I should go now? Not tomorrow, I'll find a way. There's a lot of space with mountains out there. And the trees make this the perfect place to use D4C. I will train until I master out my few skills. I've been neglecting them for far too long. But I couldn't help it. I've been busy these days. Now I will study magic. How to imbue spells in objects. I feel it will be useful in the future, but it is very complicated. But what young person doesn't want to learn how to craft enchanted items? And it has great potential to combine technology with it. I know that in the short term won't change much, but the long-term benefits are absurd. I'm in a bottleneck trying to visit my own mind. No matter what I try, or how much I meditate, I can't get into my inner world and start working on my more complex mental defenses. Do I need to have Esper, Psych or magic powers? I know and feel that my mind is well guarded subconsciously, but I want to build my inner palace like the book says. It's so cool. TCH. Let's focus on what I can do, instead of what I can't do. 27 January 2004 Brazil, Northeast Region, Bahia, Chapada Diamantina. The sun is up and I'm stretching to start running. The activity on the farm started a long time ago. I would have left earlier, but my grandmother practically threatened me so that I would have to eat that 3rd plate of cake. Not that I care, it was wonderful. Apim cake from my grandma, moi chef kiss. I usually leave without breakfast to run, but I don't plan on coming back early, because I'm going to train with the excuse of exploring the farm. After finishing my stretch I start running. I pass people at work, wave at them, stop by to chat a little with them. They give me their condolences if they don't have the opportunity previously. Others I ask about cool places I can visit. Most people talk about the waterfall, an interesting trail, a cave. It is not by chance that this region is a great tourist spot. There must be people at the waterfall, so I'll go to the forest trail. I quicken my step. After almost an hour running I finally got where I wanted to be. The forest on my grandparents' property. It is full of jatoba trees, which can reach up to 40 meters in height. The ones here are usually between 15 and 20 meters. Perfect. I step inside and start moving more freely with my powers, using D4C to appear on a higher branch. And I'm jumping from there. It would be easier with Spider-Man powers, but I'll manage. Finally I find what I was looking for, a part that ends in a deeper ravine, a clearing about 10 meters deep and 30 meters in radius. Probably soil erosion in the past. The terrain is rocky. I jump without hesitation. This is where I will have my first transformation. After a look into space, I see I won't have a problem. So I take my clothes off, leaving only my boxers. I set my smartphone in a corner to record, and take out the knife I had brought. I'll try to transform myself into the smallest possible version. I don't even know what it is. But I will. To complete the ritual, I obviously start singing You See Big Girl. I cut my hand and I transform. When I center myself, I'm crouched down in the clearing again. But I realize I'm naked, and I don't have a penis. That's the most important. When my mind clears, I remember I was training my Titan transformation. I get up and see that my head doesn't go past the beginning of the clearing. I think I'm about 7 meters tall. It's not my limit. I feel like I can go over 100 meters. It's probably my minimum, similar to the car Titan that is 4 meters. I've tried my best to be as small as possible, but it looks like I might become smaller, perhaps. Now, regarding my appearance, as far as I can see there is no deformity. Very human, no exposed muscles, but exposed bones. I have bony protrusions in several places, like on my ribs, elbows, and shoulders. I don't know about my face. I look at my smartphone, realize it's still pointed at me, and I start doing poses, so I can observe my body later. Now, it's time to test my skills. First harden, and it comes naturally with the skin on my arm hardening and darkening. Then it crystallizes. It looks so much like the hardening of the armored Titan at first, in that a layer of armor, the shade darker than my skin, covers my arm. As for the crystallization that the other Titans usually use, removing the armor I brace myself and moves to wall of the ravine, and punch it. A large crater opens, but my hand is destroyed. And it starts to regenerate almost instantly. Strength and regeneration tested. After that I text my fingers and teeth. They are extremely durable like the ones on the jaw Titan. In fact, all my teeth look sharp and exposed from the mouth. But I can only tell by touch. After that it's time to test the strongest of them all. The Titan Warhammer, which can form any object with its hardened Titan substance. I close my eyes and imagine my body being enveloped in this white armor begins to cover my body. The Titan skills are coming very naturally. After that I start to form various objects like swords, hammers and even more complex structures like character statues. They didn't come out perfect, but apparently I'm good. Hector don't know but he is very good with using his powers in general. This factor is the result of the Gacha giving the possibility of using everything without problem. Batman control over his own body and Hector natural and hidden talent in using superpowers. He can be considered a genius in this, a natural, and is only showing now. After several tests I want to get off the Titan. I kneel and struggle to get out. I have to locate my real body at the back of my nape and wish to regain control of it. With that I make the back of my neck open and emerge from the neck of my Titan form. Parts of the musculature are still attached to my body, like my cheeks and arms. Before I completely withdraw I decide to try moving my Titan body like this. It's difficult, but possible. Like a mecha, I can make my Titan arms move and even make my Titan body to get up. But it lacks precise control. It's better to be fully fused with the Titan. After I completely exit, steam begins to emerge from the body in greater quantities. I try to get one last look at the face. Very human. Long black hair, teeth sharp and exposed, with the canines protruding more. Very cool. After it completely dissolves I approach where it was before and collect different substances that are the result of my hardening. Crystals and others. I'll study it later, to see if it has my genetic material and consequently a danger for me to let it drop anywhere. Depending on the outcome, I won't be able to use my Titan form carelessly. In fact, I never intended to use it in fighting. I find it useful just for the regeneration and the possibility to say fuck it and nuke my enemies in case of a desperate situation. Very American of me, by the way. Then I'll go check my smartphone. Finally looking from a third-person perspective to my Titan form. As I sit down, I decide to cut and on my calf. A very long cut. And don't transform, okay. I did it. I won't have any accidents in case I cut myself. Steam starts to come out of the cut and it closes almost instantly. I want to cut off one of my limbs to confirm, but I think better of this. The limbs have fingerprints and obviously genetic material. What will I do with a severed hand of mine? Very probably. But someone can find a dog, sniff and dig up. This could bring complications. My paranoid side will rest better knowing that no part of my body is lying around. Thank you very much. I still have 2 hours until lunchtime. For some reason I decide to meditate. I feel it will be a good idea. Breathing in and out. Then it happens. I can finally enter my inner world. In my mind, the view is a night sky. The world is covered in water, like an endless lake that reflects the night sky, with few stars. There are a few clouds in the sky too. But the main thing is the big beam of light on the horizon, like a big tree made of energy. I see, it is similar to the paths of the subjects of Ymir. Only instead of sand it's a big lake. Now I understand why I can finally access it. It's my knowledge about my abilities, the knowledge about myself. Previously I was afraid of making a mistake, so I was cautious in using my powers. But now I have a good idea of what I can do. How can I visit my own mind, my inner world, without knowing myself? Feels good to learn. After lunch, too much by the way, Grandma, you know, I catch a ride with my grandfather to visit the city. He's going to meet some of his friends. They have a tradition of getting together in a bar, drinking, and talking about their lives, and that of other people who pass by, watching soccer also when it's on TV. I have another objective. I will take a walk around the city and visit certain establishments. I have things to do and things to buy. Are you sure that you want to take them off? The dentist asks me while I sit in his dental engine. Yes. My teeth are good enough. I will put them back in the future. I just want to escape my other dentist in New York. I lie. My teeth had improved a lot, and they were being hurt by the dental braces. I know they are now doing more harm than good. I know my teeth will get perfect over time. So I'll take off my braces right here, with someone who doesn't know my dental historic, so as not to be suspicious of my so rapid improvement. Okay, if you insist. But I have to say, with time your teeth can go back to their previous positions. I advise to find a dentist trustworthy and to finish your procedure. The dentist talks helpfully to me. Thanks, doc. I will. I lie again. Dentist never again. Soldering gun and station, oscilloscope, multimeter, solder remove, hot glue gun, rotary tool, drill and power supply. That will be everything, the clerk at the electronics store asks. Yes. And I will pay with this card. Is accepted here. I respond by giving the card. I'm walking around town buying everything that might interest me. I'm going to start working with electronics. I have a long way to go to build my own Batcave-like hideout. I also bought some fabrics and leather, metal belts and compartments. I intend to make my own utility belt. After I buy everything I think I need, I'm meeting my grandfather and friends at the bar. I spent the rest of the afternoon drinking Coke, playing pool, gossiping and hearing histories of the past. With that I have a routine, training, eating, spending time with my grandparents, working in my utility belt. I am completely focused on extracting as much of my abilities as possible. With this, days later I finally complete the assimilation. Exactly on February 1st, I finish assimilating Funny Valentine and Batman. It took more than 10 days.